Don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion.
Haha, welcome. This is the Sports Trapp Podcast. And my name is John Trapp. As always, joining me to my right, Mr. Khoa. How you doing, sir?
What up? Doing good, baby.
And the one and only, the natural, Christopher C. Rod Rodriguez. How you doing?
What it do?
Houston, stand up. Best damn podcast in all of Houston, giving you the number one opinion in all of the city. Hey, man, Red Rowdy, stand up. Texas fans, stand up. Hey, you Astros fans too, man. Stand up. Can we curse? Can we curse?
Yeah,
stand the fuck up.
Yeah,
all right?
there it is.
All right, man. Nobody. Dude, we got a show for you today. Oh my God, it's gonna be so explosive. We got so much to talk about. Rockets on the way up. Man, Houston, we are the problem. Yes, sir. Also, Texans had a little bump in the road, but you know,
A bump.
hey,
Looked like an ass beating.
MVP versus MVP. How'd that turn out? We'll get into that a little bit later. Man, what do you think about helmets as using as a weapon?
It's criminal.
Oh, hold up, pause. I don't know about criminalities and whatnot. Is that a word?
No, it's not, but we'll use it.
Criminalizations.
There we go. Sensationalism. Myles Garrett is looking at a season-long suspension. Was it deserved? We'll be talking about that as well. And man, Houston Astros organization, we've been taking a little hit, but I want to put things in perspective, if I may, just a little bit. And
did you hear that?
What's that?
There's some banging on the trash cans.
Ooh, man, that kind of hurt. That kinda hurt.
It should hurt. It should hurt.
All right, what else are we gonna get into, Chris?
We definitely got to jump into that Kaepernick.
Did he look good to you?
He looked okay.
I mean, he looked pretty good, but does it matter?
It doesn't matter because it's not a real game. And most importantly, he wasn't going to get a chance to play regardless. So.
Hey, we're gonna get into that topic. I don't know which topic is gonna be the most explosive, but man, we got some feelings on that. Chris, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Yep.
So number one topic of the day, Houston looking at 11-3, just coming off a win over the Portland Trail Blazers. Carmelo Anthony, ex-Rocket, joining the Trail Blazers, but unfortunately did not play today. But we still got the dub.
Absolutely got the dub.
Hey, look no further than the Houston Rockets to be right now sitting second in the Western Conference standings. One game behind the Los Angeles Lakers.
No. The Showtime Lakers. Get it right,
man. The Showtime Lakers. The new age Showtime Lakers with LeBron James. Oh, is it technically? No, we got 15 minutes for Taco Tuesday. He don't like that.
Hey, it's not patented or copyrighted.
He tried though.
He tried. I think because of our last few shows, us going in and going hard on the Houston Rockets, I think they woke the fuck up and hurt us. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Brody's favorite show is the Sports Trapp Podcast, and I think he heard, and the rest of the team heard our cries, and us basically screaming in the top of our lungs, "Can this team please play some fucking defense?" And before this 8-game winning streak, right? Is it 8 games now? 8 games?
8 games, yes.
8 games.
Before this 8-game winning streak, we were 27th in defense. And now we're number 2 in defense overall.
Wow.
That says a whole hell of a lot, especially since we've had a lot of our starters hurt. Not to mention that our boy, the Beard, James motherfucking should have been MVP last year, Harden, is averaging 38 motherfucking points in the NBA.
Let me rattle some of these
Speak your truth.
points.
Speak your truth, John.
40, 59, 44, 42, 39, 47, 44, 49, 36 tonight.
36. That's it.
Right.
That's
like
it?
He's slacking off.
That's it, dude.
And you know what's so crazy about that, John? It's he's not even at a positive shooting percentage from the 3-point line, but he's still killing it.
I know that when we first got into this season with the Houston Rockets, we were looking at them. We were kind of worried. Started off 3-3, but my whole point was we had to get off to a good start. Look at the Los Angeles Lakers. Look at the Los Angeles Clippers. Los Angeles Lakers, of course, they got into a good start, right? The Clippers, for whatever reason, load management has come to rear its ugly head, and the Clippers aren't looking too good, man. They've lost the last 3 games, and Kawhi Leonard isn't gonna play again tomorrow night.
Taking nights off, son.
So
what I say, you can't take nights off in the West, man. Too good.
Here's the thing, though. They're gonna come back. Paul George is back, and they're gonna come back, and they're gonna be a good team. But our standing is gonna be very important when it comes down to the end of the season.
Absolutely.
And it's for whatever reason that we didn't start off well last year. Not that we started off that much better, but we did. We started off better. So in the end, we're not going to be looking at 5th or 4th, which hurt us up until the very last game of the season, who we got beat by Westbrook and Paul George.
Westbrook speed beat us.
So, I mean, when we're looking at this, the standings at the end of the year, man, being 2nd, 3rd, or whatnot, and you're going to see LA beat up on each other with the Clippers versus the Lakers and stuff. So we'll be in great position to take number 1 spot in the Western Conference Finals if we keep this same type of energy and keep this Harden and Westbrook connection looking sweet, because they look good together.
They look good, and I want to correct myself. James Harden is averaging 39.5 points a game.
Oh.
That means he's basically averaging 40 points a game. Do you remember who the last person to ever average 40 points a game? Do you guys know who that is?
Average? I think it's Wilt, right?
Wilt, and he only did it for 2 years in a row.
Wow.
That's it. So
Wow.
all I want to say is, if James Harden ends this season averaging 40 points, which hasn't been done for almost 50, 60 years, who is the NBA going to give the MVP to over James Harden?
Hey, they found a way last year, man. I just, it seems like James Harden has to do an extra step, go an extra mile just to get that nod over somebody else. Because I remember 3 years ago, he had one of the most phenomenal seasons, and Westbrook got it. Hey, I'm so glad Westbrook's on our team, but let's be honest here, right? The year before, he was breaking all these records. He finally got his recognition, right? And last year, again, even had a better season than his MVP season, just because Giannis came through and had a phenomenal season, all this stuff. But still wasn't.
He's different. Giannis was different.
Exactly. He's a new flavor. So
people like Giannis.
And there's already conversation that Giannis is having a better season, so we might have to think about him as the MVP again. But this dude about to break 40 points in a single season per game. This is going to be a discussion.
I don't even think Giannis and the Bucks can even beat the Celtics in the playoffs. And that's real talk.
Celtics, ooh,
real talk.
Only lost 2 games.
Speaking of real quick, I think what came out today, before all the games today, NBA released their power rankings. Lakers sitting at 1, 2 and 3 on East Coast is going to be Celtics, and then Bucks, and then Nuggets 4, and then Rockets 5.
Yeah. Does anybody really believe the Nuggets are really a powerhouse or somebody to be formidable in the playoffs? Seriously.
I mean, listen, we know already before the season started, as usual, that the narrative about the NBA is that this is a showtime. I mean, the whole time Lakers. That LeBron James in his Taco Tuesday that he thinks he created, please, are going to win a championship, if not them, the Clippers, and that Giannis or LeBron James is going to win the MVP. And out of all those teams, the team that will not be able to do anything special, probably not even win 50-plus games, would be the Houston Rockets. That's basically what everyone's been saying. They've been doubting the Houston Rockets because how can Russell Westbrook and James Harden share the ball? Well, guess what? We're sharing the motherfucking ball, and we're beating teams. We beat the Clippers, and I can't wait for us to play Lakers because I'm telling you right now, that's going to be a good game.
What is that? I think it's a Christmas Day game, right?
We're gonna bang. We're gonna bang on them boys, swanging and banging on the Lakers. That's what we're about to do.
Speaking of the Nuggets, that is actually our next game on Wednesday.
Yeah,
So
that
we're playing at Denver.
You know what? One thing that what I like, even though we lost to the Bucks, we came out right. But the Bucks have been playing for a couple years now. They got their rhythm. They know their teammates really well. We were just getting our rhythm down, going. Our defense was obviously horrible.
Couldn't shoot.
And so exactly,
Eric Gordon was hurt.
Our defense wasn't there. Our offense wasn't there, and you know our legs weren't there. So, but we still played the Bucks hard, right?
Absolutely. Then
the next game came versus the Clippers. You saw the progression from one game to the other in a meaningful game. Not to say the other games aren't, but these are who we're going to play in the playoffs, right? Or potentially. We came out and we dominated the Clippers at the beginning. Yes, they had a little lull in the beginning of fourth quarter, but we came back and whatever the Clippers threw at us, we came back and we answered very well. And what I like about that is the fact that we're not only showing that we're a good team, we're also showing that at the end of the game, at the clutch moments of the game, we're formidable and we are very strong-willed and strong-minded. That's one thing that I've always thought that maybe we can lack, and Westbrook immediately helps that.
Westbrook definitely brings that attitude, that needed extra attitude that we've been missing. He reminds me of the other day when they finally debut the old school Houston Rockets uniforms. The player that came out, which is one of my all-time favorite Rockets, was Vernon Maxwell. What made Vernon Maxwell one of my favorite players and what he did for the Houston Rockets in 94 and 95 was he brought that attitude. He brought that needed muscle. That tenacity. Yeah. Westbrook does that. He gives them that extra flair. Not only that, but I've felt in the past that Rockets sometimes were pushovers. Like when we lost Patrick Beverley, I'm like, who's going to defend us?
Right.
Tucker is that guy, right? But at the same time, he's not that guy. Westbrook is that guy 24-7. If you're his friend and you're not on his team, he don't give two fucks about you.
We have such a junkyard mentality with PJ Tucker, and then you have, of course, Westbrook, who you were just mentioning. But then I didn't think he started off well at all this season. But Austin Rivers, ever since that Clipper game, he's been coming up.
Call me dad. Call me dad. Dude.
That was classic, dude. That was classic. He said Thanksgiving was going to be weird and whatnot. But we have another game versus him. So,
my only worry, it's obviously going to be a double-edged sword with Harden playing the way that he is, because averaging 40 points, that's unheard of. And can he keep it up? And what happens if he's not on fire? Can the rest of the team, can Westbrook, can they pull it together and be able to pull off these wins? Because let's say Harden's not scoring 45 points. Let's say he's scoring 25, which is still good, but that's 20 less points. Can we, push the ball around and actually get people to be able to score and open that? And that's the thing I think is going to be the test in the long run, whether we are on the top or not. Because if we can't get these other guys to, play on the same level and play as a team, then I think that's going to be our downfall if we can't make it work. Though.
What is the number one thing that you could complain about Harden in any point last season?
He dribbled the ball too much sometimes.
When he didn't have the ball. He'd just be checked out.
He would check out. He would be at the end of the court.
He was running plays. He is running plays.
Oh, he is.
He's involved in a pass and movement offense. And I was like, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited about that. I mean, that was my the one viewpoint, my final viewpoint for the Rockets. I'm so excited to have them for the future and see what we're gonna look like versus the Clippers and the Lakers later on. And shoot, I can't wait for that return game against the Bucks.
Hey, just so you know, players like Ben McLemore Clemens, Daniel House, and even Clint Capella have really been showing up. Clint Capella right now is actually balling. He's playing hard.
How many rebounds? He's got already 20 rebound games.
And the thing that separates them right now from last year's Astros is there's no like weird, crazy defensive scheme of switching. They're all playing fucking defense. Speaking of defense, let's talk about the defense that the Houston Texans did not have at all against the Baltimore Ravens.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Sports Trapp Podcast, and we're going to tell you about everything about Houston sports in general. Now we're going to get into a little bit of the Houston Texans.
Womp womp.
Man, immediate thoughts on
We got burned.
Horrible performance.
We got burned.
One of the worst performances I've seen all year. But I will say this to all the Texans fans out there. For those who had some fragment of hope that this might be the team that takes us to the promised land, you got your answer. This was a primetime game. This was the battle of the MVPs. This was battle of the supposed two best teams in the AFC. And guess what? We said it a couple of weeks ago that the Texans are probably fool's gold. They're no longer fool's gold. They are exactly what they are. They are an above average team that will probably make the playoffs and lose in the playoffs.
Seems like what we predicted.
Seems like deja vu, time and time again.
At least we got to see AJ McCarron and Robert Griffin. No,
let me ask you this though: how do you feel about pass interference calls?
So to be 100% honest, I think that the Ravens came out a little sluggish. Like I said, they were coming off of a intense game. They were feeling themselves a little bit, but once they got into the groove of the game, eventually they took over. Obviously, after winning 41-7, that was hard to say. But not that we were the Houston Texans were ever in the game necessarily, but it was basically lost to me once Shaun Watson passed to DeAndre Hopkins and they didn't call the interference call. One of the things that I think the NFL really needs to look at is, and i.e., DeAndre Hopkins actually tweeted that he says, as a leader of the players in the NFL, we really need to have somebody else in New York looking at these review calls. And I think he's absolutely right.
Like who, us? Like the fans?
I don't know, but it was such a blatant, obvious call, and it
blatant wasn't a word for it.
I mean, what's the point of replay if we're not going to use it when it's that obvious? And it's just because of the positioning of the hands, but it really embodied everything that's wrong with the pass interference call and replay system, all in one.
Well, this whole challenge of pass interference was basically to try to fix a situation that happened last year with the New Orleans Saints that the NFL refused to fix then.
Right.
There was no reasons why the New Orleans Saints shouldn't have been in the Super Bowl. And and the fact that they weren't in the Super Bowl because of the controversy that even to this day the NFL really hasn't basically apologized for, turned into this whole stupid challenge of pass interference. And I just want, before I go into the statistics on this, the definition of pass interference is to significantly hinder an opponent from making a play on the ball, which was clearly the fucking situation with my boy Humphrey from Alabama against Hopkins. Clearly this was a pass interference.
See, but and I'm watching it now. I definitely agree that should be a call. That is egregious. But that word there that leaves things up to interpretation is significantly. And I think that that's where a lot of these things, this is where the discrepancies come from, because even though these are what the rules, there's still that word is a coloring word. It leaves it up to interpretation still, up to the discretion of the referee at hand or whoever is on duty at the time. Was that significant? Was it not?
Well, I'll tell you what's significant.
There's no black and white for you. There's no actual thing, in that definition to define whether it's yes or no. If I look at that as like, was that significant? Was it not? I don't know. Was I that person? Was I that player? Which angle am I looking at? It's.
Can you honestly say that looking at it in the slow-mo video of it, can you say that was definitively pass interference?
Yes.
You can?
I can.
I couldn't. Because if you look at the hand, if you look at the replay again,
first
the
of all,
hand's
he's pulling on his
you can't
jersey.
see his hand. Right. That's one. But you can't see how much force he's using with his hands.
He's already grabbing before the ball is even coming
so
to him.
is that the amount of force? Is that
right?
Is
right.
That a factor?
You can't. To me,
is
you
it
can't.
Positioning?
Of course.
Is it?
It's all of that. But you can't tell how much pressure. But if you look at it in real time, absolutely you can tell it's a pass interference. So I think sometimes we get bogged down in what things look like in slow motion, right? You don't get to see. Maybe you see too much of the nuances, but you don't get to see the entirety of the situation sometimes. And I went back and I looked at the slow motion replay of the game, and I was like,
you thought it was less obvious in slow motion.
Oh, 100%.
Well, listen,
I don't know
kids,
about that.
check this out. 32 of the past 33 pass interference challenges dating back to the start of week 4, that's a 3% success rate. Since week 3, 2 for 41, 4.9%, which basically tells me that nobody knows what the fuck pass interference is.
Yeah, 100%.
Bill O'Brien even said in his conference, probably the smartest thing he said the whole time that his interview was going on after the horrendous loss to the Baltimore Ravens, that, hey, I don't even know what pass interference is anymore. And to me, I think that this just goes to show you that the NFL put this stupid rule in place basically to just try to make up for the lack of credibility from a refereeing standpoint that goes all the way back to last year. And at this point, I just think it's best that all the coaches in the NFL just keep your flags to yourself. Don't lose any more timeouts. Bill O'Brien, you of all people need to keep your timeouts.
So I do think that the NFL needs to look at this pass interference thing, and I don't think it's going to happen unless again, that something like this egregious is going to happen in the playoffs, and everybody's in agreement with it, or they're going to wait till next season. So I don't see any changes happen this way. But I will have to say this too: MVP versus MVP, and at the time it was 0-0. That's not the reason why the Texans lost.
No, it's not.
The Texans got thoroughly outplayed. Lamar Jackson, at first, it took him a quarter, but Lamar Jackson was Lamar Jackson, who we are getting accustomed to realizing that's who he is. I honestly, for his sake, I hope that they don't change the offense. Do not change something that doesn't need to be fixed just yet, because eventually they'll catch on to his offense. But for right now, he is doing something that we haven't seen since maybe Michael Vick or even Kaepernick. But the difference between Michael Vick and Kaepernick is they always tried to change him eventually. They tried to make him a pocket passer. And what he's doing, to me, Lamar Jackson needs to throw average 15, at most 20 passes a game. Other than that, he's either got to hand the ball off, option to his main man, Mark Ingram. If you get a chance to look at that press conference, hilarious. I want to send out a shout out to my boy Chris. That's Chris in a nutshell. I love him for that. And so, but yeah, no, what Lamar Jackson does and what the dynamic offense that he provides for that team is going to propel them. If they do not change, I think that propels them to the Super Bowl. And I don't know. I don't like making predictions, but it might look like the Super Bowl back in New Orleans a few years back with Baltimore Ravens versus the San Francisco 49ers all over again. Hopefully the difference is the outcome.
Was that the Blackout Bowl?
Yeah.
Listen, John, now you're overstepping your boundaries. That is a piss poor, pathetic try to sell us and these wonderful fans watching the show that the 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo
Girafalo
are going to take the 49ers to the promised land. I got
listen.
I got one word for you.
That was a good one.
Speaking of that, the Blackout Bowl, who was the quarterback for the 49ers at the time?
Ooh, we'll get into that a little later. We'll get into a little Kaepernick conversation. Yes, sir. So, in your opinion, though, gentlemen, I'll ask you each, what, if anything, can the Texans do to save this season?
Try to win.
Does Shaun Watson have a shot at winning the MVP yet? Still,
he will be there. Like I said, his name will be there for MVP. But when it's all said and done, his performance will not be better than the Texans' record, and that's what's going to boil down to.
Do you still think he's the best quarterback in the NFL?
I still think he's the best quarterback in the NFL.
Wow. Okay. Just staying to your guns. What about you, Khoa? What
I don't know.
I think
after that performance, I think that's a big hit on his running in his case for MVP. And I mean, I agree with Chris. I still think that he is probably the most talented and the best quarterback. But if the results aren't coming, if we can't lose 41-7. Obviously, that non-call was a huge kill in momentum and whatnot. But yeah, I agree. Like, we still lost that game.
John,
you before that.
It's just like we've said. At the end of the day, it's same old.
Deshaun Watson has got us to the record that we have in spite of his coach / GM. Okay, they came into this season with bad juju from the jump. You know what I mean? They didn't have a GM. They let Clowney walk away. They have $40 million just sitting there, just collecting dust. They didn't get the proper players they needed in the draft, in free agency. This shit of offensive line they've put together by giving away all of our future still couldn't protect Deshaun Watson. Sacked 6 times. At the end of the day, Deshaun Watson can only do so much.
Right.
Yeah, but and I agree. So let's say by the end of the season we get to 8-8, 9-7, whatever it is, in spite of bad coaching, bad calling, whatever, refs against us, and Deshaun's playing lights out. Is that enough of a case for him to be MVP? With the way that how the voting and everything is working, he could be playing lights out and be the actual best player, but I don't see it happening. Not if the Ravens are on their track and on their to be whatever record 10-6 or whatever.
The best player on the best team always gets MVP in the NFL. It's usually the way it goes.
Yeah, I think that Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson are too much ahead of the race at this point. I think that even at the end of the day, Mahomes might be too far off as well to catch up to him.
What? Let me hear that again.
I think maybe, but he has a better chance than Deshaun Watson.
I don't know. They struggled again tonight. He struggled again tonight.
They win?
Okay.
Who is one of the 2 teams that beat Baltimore? Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. That's all I gotta say about that.
Okay, John.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it has come to that portion of the show to get down to the nitty gritty. We have a lot of fights off camera. We go back and forth, but I can honestly say I've never used a helmet on Chris. I don't think.
No, but you used a peanut.
Okay, that was a one time.
He threw a peanut in my face.
I didn't throw it at your face. Did I throw it?
Yeah, you hit me right in my right there in my face.
I will say this. Okay, Myles Garrett and the Cleveland Browns decimate 4 interceptions worth of the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mason Rudolph.
I told you Cleveland was gonna win.
You got that one. Our pick sixes. I was 4-2. He's 4-2. 3-3. Mr. Khoa. Nothing to sniff at, but you'll get better next week. I think. Anyways, so that being said, 8 seconds to go.
8 seconds.
Myles Garrett.
The game's over with.
Tries to get a sack. Mason Rudolph goes to the floor after dumping it off. Myles Garrett takes him. They're both in a little scrum, and Myles Garrett ends up with Mason Rudolph's helmet. That's when the 2 linemen from Pittsburgh kind of try to at least separate the two. And Mason Rudolph is still right there, close enough to get hit on the head with his own helmet.
I thought Myles Garrett was trying to give him back his helmet by putting it back on his head.
Was that?
That's what
he was trying to help him.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Come on now, man.
All
He's
right.
a quarterback. You don't want him to get hurt.
Lo and behold, that was a Thursday night game, right?
Yeah, that was a badass.
By Friday morning, Myles Garrett is indefinitely suspended.
Probably next year too.
Not only this year, but including the playoffs. Should they make the playoffs? But
Without
who
pay.
honestly believes
Without pay, by the way, too.
who honestly believes that the Cleveland Browns are going to make the playoffs? I think that's I thought that was funny too. All right, now does the crime fit the punishment? Mr. Christopher Rodriguez, would you please answer the question?
Listen, as a wrestling fan, I was entertained. It reminded me of a chair shot to Mick Foley.
All right.
But problem with this is that this was real life, and the crown of a helmet could have actually been used and could have pretty much hurt that guy pretty bad. I think that Myles Garrett is getting kind of he was wrong. Should be suspended for the remaining games without pay. I think that fits a crime and whatever's going to happen next year to him. But what I don't think is fair is when everyone comes out and says that he's a criminal, that charges should be pressed on him. I think that, and I'm sorry, when I hear pundits who played football come out and say this is the most horrible thing they've ever seen and this just breaks all game rules, and they're calling their fellow football player a criminal, I think that's criminal in itself. And the reasons why I say that is, you got to put in context the fact that this is a very emotional game. It wasn't as if Garrett started this. Rudolph started this by trying to take off his helmet first. The problem was that Garrett was like, oh, bro, you want this smoke? I'll give you the smoke. You want to take off my helmet? I'm going to take off your helmet.
So you don't agree that it was started even before that, but the way that he was taken down?
Actually, if you look up at the way he was taken down, he actually did him right by taking him down the right way. He could have really put him into the floor. As he's coming down, you can see it in real time, and you can slow it down. It's almost as if he's bringing him down, but he's bringing him down in a way that's not going to hurt him. The fact is that Rudolph was frustrated. He'd been sacked quite a bit that whole game. He was horrible the whole game. He let his frustrations out, tried to take Myles Garrett's helmet off. Myles Garrett took his helmet off. And, of course, with Garrett being in this scuffle and two other players on the Steelers in his face, he does something that's probably going to haunt him for the rest of his life, which was use the helmet as sort of a weapon, which is horrible. But what I want to say about this is the reason why I say that when I hear pundits say this is the worst thing, I think people fail to forget that the game in itself is a very barbaric game and a very violent game. And people don't even realize all the horrific stories that go on when there's fumbles and there's piles, because players themselves have said that people's fingers purposely get broken, genitals are squeezed, people are punched in the stomach, punched in the face. We don't see those things because when people pile up on someone, and to me, grabbing somebody and trying to hurt their testicle sac or breaking someone's finger, that's just as horrible as hitting someone with the crown of your helmet. The thing is this was on live TV. It was the last 8 seconds, and what turned out to be a game that was actually pretty, was kind of a boring game. This became a talking point for everyone to just go in on Myles Garrett. You know what I mean?
You got to remember, 1, this is a gladiator sport.
Absolutely.
2, this was on Thursday Night Football. Had this been on Sunday, where there's a multitude of the other games going on the same time, this wouldn't have been such a big deal. Not that it isn't a big deal, but I'm saying the magnitude doesn't hit as hard.
Right.
All right. With those two things in mind, right, this, at the end of the day, was as innocuous as a hard tackle or somebody getting ejected for spearing or something. I get it. You don't mess with the head, right? But when you really, really break it down and you look at it, 1, Myles Garrett was doing a football play. Even if he had a little bit more oomph at the end of the tackle, you could tell Mason Rudolph was frustrated, and he took out his frustration on on Myles Garrett with his own helmet. It's like if you and me, right? You come to me and you have a sword in your hand, and I steal this sword from you and I hit you with it. Literally, that's what Mason Rudolph did. Myles Garrett was not trying to take off his helmet at first. Myles Garrett was the one making a football play.
Right.
Mason Rudolph came, tried to steal his helmet off his head, and like you said, oh, you want the smoke? Fine. I guarantee you can't take off my helmet, and I'm going to take off yours, and I'm going to show you how this really feels. Because not only did he take off his helmet, grabbed him by the face mask, lifted half his body up into the air until his his helmet came off his head. Then, and this is what bothers me about this whole situation, that people act like Mason Rudolph was innocent in all this.
Not innocent.
He literally, Myles Garrett is getting restrained by his other two linemen.
That's right.
After the fact that he took the helmet off his head, the linemen were still just okay with that.
They were both holding him too.
Just holding him.
Yeah.
Mason Rudolph. Why was Mason Rudolph close enough to get hit in the head with the helmet?
Because he was coming after him.
He charged him.
Nobody was holding Mason Rudolph back. Nobody was trying to get him to subdue him in any way, form, or fashion. And Myles Garrett did swing. Again, I'm not agreeing with that. But it's like if we're blaming Myles Garrett, like if he did this all on his own. Mason Rudolph was on the ground, and he just came and pummeled him with no defense or anything like that. That's not how it happened, and we're treating it that way. Like you said, if Myles Garrett was being criminal, it wasn't an assault. Like if you were to see one on the street, that's not how this happened. That's not how it played out. But everybody's looking at it and judging it as if that's the case. That is not, in my opinion, that's not right. And I get it. And the aesthetics of it does not look good. But Mason Rudolph was there. He started it, and he couldn't handle the smoke when it finished, because you know why? As soon as he got hit by that helmet, he looks to the referee. Dude,
straight
why
to the referee.
Are you in that vicinity?
It's ironic because he not only doesn't look at the referee as soon as he gets hit with it, and honestly, like I said, it could have been worse. Everyone's going by or reacting to the what ifs instead of what actually happened. He hit him on the small part.
I don't like hypotheticals.
So he hit him on the soft part of the helmet. Yes, it does hit him, and yes, it could have been worse.
That's
but
not
as soon,
the soft part of the helmet.
The bottom part where the cushioning, if you look at it, the hard part of the helmet where he could have really fucked him up was the crown of the helmet, and the way he could have really smashed his head in. The thing about it, obviously, that didn't affect him much, because as soon as it happened, he turned to the referee and was like, "Ref." To me, that's ridiculous. Now, I will say, shout out to Pouncey, because I feel bad for him.
That's my favorite part of that whole video. Pouncey was a beast.
Pouncey does what most teammates should do. Once he sees that happen, not only does he go after Garrett, he punches him in the head a couple of times.
He kicks
him in the head. That's exactly what should have happened. And what's so sad about that is Pouncey gets suspended, for 3 games? Right? And he loses money. And I think that his reaction was relatively what should have happened, which was, "Oh, Garrett, you want to pick up my quarterback? I got something for your bitch ass." That's pretty much what Pouncey said. It was
like
entertaining.
The comments where they're saying like this all would have been avoided if his lineman would have just blocked for him in the first place. That never would have happened.
I do think that it was just that frustration that Mason Rudolph had 4 interceptions, constantly getting sacked, constantly getting bombarded.
It was frustration on
I do agree though. Pouncey was my favorite part of that whole video.
So did anything ever come out as far as anything against Mason Rudolph? Is anything?
He's gonna get fined, but he doesn't get suspended. Pouncey's getting 3 games, and then I think a couple other people.
Oh, the other player who came and pushed
Mason Rudolph at the end. He got 2, I think.
He got 1 game. He got one game. I just want everyone to know, because at some point today we're gonna talk about some things that is on the higher end of ethics and morals. I am not saying that what Myles Garrett did was correct.
Right, 100%.
Because at the same time, somebody seriously could have been hurt. Thankfully, nobody was seriously hurt. But I will say that I don't want us to, like, in every situation, there is a good guy and there's a bad guy, right? I get that, and we always want to find who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. But we also got to look at right is right and wrong is wrong. None of this would have happened if Rudolph wouldn't have been the aggressor and try to take off his helmet. Now, again, Myles Garrett, he's still a man. He has to live with himself. And most importantly, he has a decision to make. Do I hit him with the helmet or do I just toss the helmet? He allowed his emotions to get the best of him, and he really fucked up.
One thing that you and me, and I can always agree with you, it makes the sport look bad. But when you saw it in the UFC, you yourself told me they're fighters. When the guy jumped out of the ring into the stands, when another guy came into the ring, when I'm specifically talking about Khabib and
Conor,
versus Conor McGregor, when one of Khabib's goonies, whatever you want to call him, comes into the ring and starts wailing on
blindsides.
Yeah, Conor McGregor. I always thought that was a bad mark on the sport. It makes us the UFC look like barbaric, and the fighters are just without any rules and regulations. All right, and that's the same thing here with the NFL. But it's so hard because I remember you saying it's so hard for you to turn off those tendencies.
It really is.
To be in such a violent sport like football. And I think 100% it was all almost instinctual. It's not like Myles Garrett went out to get the helmet to hit him on the head. But that's the way we treat it. That's the way we look at it. Aesthetically, maybe if you just hold the clip in a certain way and just show what you want to show, you can make that assumption. But again, that's not how it happened. And then at the end of the day, I do not think that past just raw emotion and instinct that happened on that play, I don't think he should be punished anything past the season. Again, we joked about the playoffs, and I don't necessarily think they'll make the playoffs. But irregardless, 7 games is to me enough.
At the end of the day, the NFL loves to make examples out of people, and because that no one's ever seen this ever before, anyone used a helmet as a weapon, it's going to be looked upon, so that way players will never ever think about this again. So I think that the example of Myles Garrett, he's going to be. It reminds me of what happened in the Palace with Ron Artest.
Right. But that's the thing. Like, it's a primetime game.
It's a primetime game, and people don't fail to realize that Vernon Maxwell, speaking of Virgil, he was the first person to go in the stands and hit somebody and got in trouble. But it wasn't it wasn't the same way, which almost caused a damn near riot that happened on live TV against 2 competitive games. What happened to Ron Artest, and look how long Ron Artest was out the NBA, and he had to really, really work his way. I mean, he became Metal World Peace later.
Yeah.
Metal World
Change
Peace.
his damn name.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that whatever happens to Myles Garrett, whether we think it's appropriate or not, he's going to get the worst of that punishment to teach players in the future that you can't use your helmet, no matter who wants to smoke, as a weapon.
100%, man. I agree.
Yeah, I don't disagree with necessarily his punishment. I think I agree with John. I don't think it should roll over to next year or anything, but I don't agree if Mason doesn't get some sort of. I think for me, that's at least 1 game.
I agree with that.
Game
but
and plus fines.
Do you think he's going to get anything? Myles Garrett going to get anything past this?
I think so. I think so. I think that knowing this commissioner, knowing the NFL, knowing that they only care about one thing, ratings and quarterbacks, they're going to do everything they can to make Myles Garrett the bad guy and set an example for him. And I wouldn't be surprised if he suspended another 6 games of the regular season next year. Calling it right now.
Hey, you talking about ratings? This is the this is the Sports Trapp podcast. Edit that out. Houston's #1 podcast, sports podcast. And we always want the smoke. We always want
the smoke.
The likes and the comments. Because we always bring it. We're going to bring it to you raw and exactly how we feel. So, you know what? Speaking of the commissioner, speaking of the NFL, and we already mentioned his name before, somebody had a workout this past weekend. None other than Colin Kaepernick, given 5 days to show up this past Saturday in the Atlanta facility. Hugh Jackson was supposed to run the workout. Unfortunately, that workout did not go as planned. obviously. Eventually, Colin Kaepernick and his team moved the workout about 60 miles away, or an hour away at least. Had a
How
little
dare
workout.
him do that?
And out of the 24 that originally said that they were going to attend, or actually attended the workout that didn't end up happening, 8 actually made the travel to the facility, the high school, in I want to say in another part of Atlanta, to watch him play, and he looked pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, there was moments that he looked like he was out of football for 3 years, but then there was moments that looked like he'd been training. So, do you think at the end of the day this actually helped or hurt Colin Kaepernick's chances of getting back into the NFL?
He was never going to be on a team to begin with. This was all a fucking PR stunt. Now, listen, I, at this point, could care less where you stand. If you're one of those people that hates Colin Kaepernick because you feel like he's an overpaid athlete who just needs to shut up and throw the football and he just needs to respect this country, blase, blase. If you're that type of person, I get it, I understand. If you're the other type of person that feels like, you know, it's all about freedom of speech, you should be able to protest, especially if it's respectful and bygones, you know, stand up for what you feel is right. I understand that part of it. But we can all agree that everybody at some point in their lives has felt like they're being fucked by their employer. Right? Can we all agree? We've all experienced that. If you're on this side against Kaepernick, you have been in a job or a position where you feel like there's people out against you, or people are setting you up, or people trying to make you look foolish. And it could be said on the other side as well. I find it very, very bizarre that out of nowhere, that the commissioner in NFL decides to plan this incredible combine for Kaepernick, right? They call him up on Tuesday and say, hey, you have 2 hours to decide about participating in a combine, okay? Now, this combine, we can't tell you who the teams are going to be. They're going to show up. But just know that it's this Saturday. So,
5 days.
5 days. So, are you in or not? You got 2 hours to decide.
Can we move the venue to next week?
No. You have to decide right now.
Can we decide where this is going to be?
No. You have 2 hours to decide if you're going to do this, yes or no. Do you want a job
Well,
in the NFL?
can I bring my own wide receivers?
No, you can't bring your own receivers because we're going to pick your own wide receivers.
Ooh, can I bring my own media team?
No, you can't because we're going to decide who's the media there.
Can we have media there?
We'll pick the media. You can't have the media. Oh, come on. Give me some more questions. Like, do I get to know who the teams are that are coming?
Do you?
No, you have to wait and figure that out once you get there throwing the ball. What is this whole combine going to be a part of? What's going to be the whole
workout?
The workout. You won't know until you get there. So at the end of the day, let's think about this, guys. Every Tuesday, teams bring players in to give them a shot to see if they can either make the team or maybe in the practice squad. This happens all on a regular basis. The NFL has had over 3 years, teams, all 32 teams, to call in Colin Kaepernick. Now, I want you guys to think about this. I don't know if it's the Houston Texans or whatever team that's your favorite team. We all have teams right now that probably have had a quarterback that's gotten hurt or currently have a quarterback right now that we think is hot garbage shit. At any point, those 32 teams could have called Kaepernick to give him a shot, give him a chance, but they failed to do that. Why all of a sudden is the NFL going to give Colin Kaepernick a shot, but it's only within a period of time and it's last minute notice? Not only that, but they're not giving him any detail about the situation. It sounds really fucking fishy to me.
So the whole thing about it sounds fishy. Like you pointed out, no, just a chance to get hit all his eggs in a row. I think, to me, this was all a point to show everybody that he doesn't belong in the NFL. They gave him a limited amount of preparation. They basically baited him. Oh, You say you've been working out. You say you've been ready. We're gonna try to prove that you have or you haven't.
And you got 2 hours to decide.
And you have to be able to show physically that you can still throw the football at an elite level. They had they wanted one of two outcomes. They wanted to show that he physically couldn't do it anymore, or that he couldn't fall in line to be an NFL player enough to be on a team that's not going to eventually create a distraction. And for all intents and purposes, they didn't succeed in proving that he's not physically capable, because if you watch any of the workout, 100% he's capable of throwing a football. He didn't run too much. He just threw, and from what you could see is, there was moments of him being rusty, but there was also moments of him being better at throwing the football than some of these quarterbacks who are playing currently in the game right now, playing in the NFL. Now, the one thing that I'll say, and I don't even care about him changing the venue, and they say that he changed the venue 30 minutes before it was supposed to happen. I don't necessarily think that that's true. I think I've been hearing different time frames, but he changed the venue long enough for 8 other teams to get down to the high school that he did the workout in. Like you had pointed out, all 32 teams have had the opportunity to call him, have had the opportunity to schedule a workout with him. Nobody has done it up until this point. And unfortunately, as well as it went, as well as the workout went, as well as him doing what he needed to do to prove that he could physically and capable of doing this, his interview at the end of it, where he calls out all 32 teams, and essentially in a threatening tone said that he'll be waiting.
I've been prepared for 3 years. I've been denied for 3 years, and y'all know why. I've been ready. I'm staying ready.
I do not think billionaires are going to sit there and take the wording and take the tongue lashing from Colin Kaepernick and expect and have Colin Kaepernick expect for one of them to be like, oh, okay, yeah, he can play for my team.
If you're biased and you don't like Kaepernick, I want you to please just listen to what I'm about to tell you. Take all that kneeling shit to the side. I want you to just think about the circumstances and the details that are going on in this whole situation. Number one, I want you also to really think about the fact that just recently, the settlements of grievance that Colin Kaepernick had towards the NFL, he was awarded anywhere between $1 to $10 million, right? It was proven in court, right, that the NFL, whether you want to believe it or not, all 32 teams have conspired to keep Kaepernick from playing football, okay? So he's awarded this money.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's proven. It's just in a settlement, but it's enough.
It's enough there.
It's enough to settle out of court.
It's enough. You know? It's enough for anyone to say that who's believed in this conspiracy theory that the has blackballed him. That's an obvious statement. So obviously, because of that, he won this grievance, right? So I want everyone to hear this. While Kaepernick agreed to participate in Saturday, he did so with an arbitrary 2-hour window. Like, I keep saying that because I want you to realize he only had 2 hours to decide. Disputes soon arose between the camp and the NFL league officials, who reportedly rescinded their offer to provide a list of team officials who were planning to attend. One day of the workout, it was announced that the cameras, including Kaepernick's own video crew, would not be allowed inside the Falcons facility, and that the NFL would be providing the video of the session after the fact. The NFL also asked Kaepernick to sign a waiver that his attorney described as unusual, and he declined. Okay? Now, I want you guys to really listen to what we're trying to say, because we're really trying to give you the facts. Not what the media, who especially like ESPN, who gets paid billions of money to stand up and represent the NFL, right? But this is what if you like conspiracy theories, or you're the type of person that thinks that the man is trying to get you, you got to really hear these things out, because at the same time, the reasons why Kaepernick moved the combine to another place, but because he realized with his attorney that shit was just really fishy. That the NFL was doing something to make him look bad and to basically allow them to have the upper hand. Okay. Now I know a lot of people are gonna sit here and think, well, if he ever wanted to play or he truly wanted to play, why didn't he just go out there and do what the NFL said? See, you don't understand. The man just won anywhere from $1 to $10 million because of the way the NFL has treated him. This waiver that the NFL said is the same waiver that everyone else has signed is not correct at all. They changed wording in it in order to manipulate the situation, which would allow them to have the upper hand. And for anyone that's telling you anything differently, they're lying to you. And I'll get into that in just a second. Now, Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio obtained a 3-page waiver. The NFL asked Kaepernick to sign, and he found some of the language to be peculiar. Florio, who practiced labor law, zeroed in on the specific paragraph related to the injury liability. He argued that it could be used as a silver bullet that would defeat him from any claims of collusion or retaliation related to Kaepernick's ongoing unemployment from the moment the February settlement agreement was signed through and beyond November 16th workout. Does everybody understand what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
Okay. So it could have easily been all this could have easily been cleared up quick back and forth between the two parties, but NFL presented the waiver late in its already hurried process, right? So this left Kaepernick and the team to basically either you sign it and we're in trouble, or we got to make a definitive decision right then and there. So if you get a chance, I want everybody go to sportsillustrated.com and you can read the article by Michael McCann, who goes detail of how this waiver, which was different from all the other waivers, the normal waiver, is so different and how basically it affects both parties.
Right.
And when you break it down, you're just like, oh my God. So the NFL insisted the waiver that asked Kaepernick to sign and stand. However, the standard waiver may not be appropriate for Kaepernick. This is neither a typical player nor a typical situation. Kaepernick and the league and their attorneys battled in a collusion grievance for 16 months. They also reached a settlement concerning those past claims, which I know I've already kind of repeated. The NFL believes that the language simply affirms that Kaepernick would assume risk of physical injury or death if something went wrong at the workout. Kaepernick regards the same language as more extensive than a release of liability for physical injury or death. For one, the NFL's waiver previously qualified the opportunity to participate in the workout, as in connection with employment discussed above in the story. Such, arguably suggests that the waiver goes beyond physical injury in the realm of employment. For another, the NFL's waiver uses the expression any and all claims, demands, actions, causes of actions, suits of grievances. Kaepernick could rightfully question why the league is concerned about it. And most importantly, any of all claims if only physical injury claims are at issue. Further, the phrase demands, actions, causes, actions, suits, grievances probably gave Kaepernick pause. By signing such a statement, he might have relinquished the chance to grieve or sue over an employment matter.
That goes into my whole point of, listen, they don't want him to play.
They never wanted him to play.
If and only if they could hurry this process up, try to hide the details and get him to sign papers, because he will never play.
Never play.
But they don't want him to be suing them either. So let's get him to sign his paper, so that way if we and when we never hire him, he's not going to come back and file another grievance.
It's a win-win.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I keep bringing this up, but Roger Goodell is very good at public relations. As much heat as the NFL gets, I'll give you example 1A, Myles Garrett. The day after, with less than 24 hours, and I'm pretty sure less than 12 hours, Roger Goodell capitulated to the public, and Myles Garrett is done, not just for the season, not just for the playoffs, indefinitely. Why? Because he wants to hear what the public has to say. If he agrees with Chris, he's going to be added additional games, right?
Don't listen to me.
Ray Rice wasn't suspended right away.
Not at all. Not till that video came out.
Not till the video came out. Why? Public relations nightmare. Guess what? Ray Rice has not played it down in the NFL since. Right? Colin Kaepernick, right? Kneeled. The moment he got out of that NFL contract, and I told you this at the time, at the moment, he'll never play NFL again.
Never play again.
But what happened? Public relations nightmare, because there's people on the right, there's people on the left, there's people in it makes it a black and white issue, whatever, whatnot. How do you get them to basically all come in the center and all agree? You make that dude out to be the problem. Make him the
diva
of the problem, the diva, the one that can't fall in line. And now everybody's coming out. You saw Stephen A. Smith go in on him. You saw ex-players, all these pundits coming out and saying that Colin Kaepernick ruined his chance. And like you were saying off the camera earlier, did he really have a chance?
He never had a chance.
And not only did he never had a chance, Colin Kaepernick knew he never had a chance. Colin Kaepernick knew that at all these blocks and cautionary bumps in the road just to lead up to this was just a facade, was just a show, and at the end of the day was just a sham. So what he tried to do was, you're gonna give me this opportunity? Cool. I'm gonna make it my opportunity as much as he could. And everything that the NFL wanted him to do, yes, he didn't necessarily follow that and fall in line. And he tried to take that opportunity and not the glare of that spotlight, and he tried to move it and keep that same glare and put it to the point where, shoot, I might not get the NFL and the 24 teams to come and watch me, but I'm gonna get somebody. And if that somebody is just the public, I'll have that enough. And so honestly, I think he did a great job in maneuvering that and maneuvering the muddy waters. But when it comes down to it, the NFL knew that he was going to say something that would just galvanize everybody that was against him in the first place.
They were hoping that. But in hindsight, let's just say that he like everybody wants him to do, is fall in line. Like if you really want to play, let's just say that he signs that waiver and he goes along with this setup NFL combine and he doesn't make a team. Not only does he not have a chance to sue again for false advertisement, for basically you lied to me and you said these teams are going to give me an opportunity, but now I can't sue anymore because I've given up those chances, and I think, and that's pretty much, what does it say? Any and all. So he gives any and all chances of ever being signed again. And guess what? Colin Kaepernick never plays. And I think what happened in this whole situation, and I'm going to say this, and this might be controversial. At this point, I don't care. But we still have a race issue in this world. And every day I wake up, I try, like many of us, try to find the positivity in it all. But in reality, race is always going to be an issue until we decide to finally actually start talking about it. If you're offended by the fact that Kaepernick kneeled, you also should be offended by the fact that he's being blackballed and not given the opportunity to play, and he was basically set up. I think what ended up happening here is that the NFL did not count his intelligence. They did not count that he has good lawyers and he has good people looking out for him. What they thought was that they were smarter than Colin Kaepernick. But Colin Kaepernick played their same game. And the only thing the NFL could do in return is get mad about it and try to do everything they can to slander his name and make him look like the bad person, like the person who doesn't really want to play. And when you have somebody like Stephen A. Smith, I can guarantee, and this is my opinion, that I don't even think Stephen A. Smith really believes that. I just think Stephen A. Smith looked about who's cutting him that fucking check. And he's like, you know what, NFL? I got this. Let me go in as the official black spokesperson and let me go in on Colin Kaepernick. Let me just tell everybody he doesn't really want to play, that he just wants to be a martyr to the civil rights movement or to the movement that he created. And in hindsight, that's pathetic and to me very Uncle Tomish. by Stephen A. Smith to say that, but I don't expect anything less than that because guess what? Stephen A. Smith, no matter what, is going to get a check. Colin Kaepernick is not. And if he would have signed that waiver, he definitely wouldn't have had a chance to sue again. But guess what? He's probably going to sue again. And you know what?
That'd be something to see.
Hey.
As a fan of Colin Kaepernick, because I was, and I'm a 49er fan, so I'm going to be honest. I'm disappointed the fact that I got my hopes up. I got for even though I knew that the NFL it was more or less a setup and a public relations, just a spoof, in my opinion, just to show. It gave me a semblance of hope that Colin Kaepernick, and I was wrong that he would never play again. Gave me a sense of hope that I got to see Colin Kaepernick at least be a backup quarterback, and that just all went all up in smoke. And I should have known. I should have known not to get hope.
Well, in the first, and I want to say I apologize that when I first saw Colin Kaepernick give his press conference, the first thing came out of my mouth because I didn't know he changed the venue and all this went down. I didn't know any of the details. I thought, like, man, this guy, he really doesn't care about playing football. Then maybe at the end of the day, he just cares about himself. And I thought the way he came and how aggressive he was, that it was uncalled for. But then once I found the details and I found out the reasons why he did what he did, the second time I watched the video tonight, I just want to say that I'm very, very proud for Colin Kaepernick because regardless if you like him or not, he stood up for a lot of us that in the workforce, we have been looked down upon and been blackballed or picked over or not fairly treated for whatever reasons, whether it's race, gender, or the fact that it's just nepotism at its best, where people who know somebody gets a job over you or they get that promotion, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. He stood up for all of us. And yes, it was aggressive, but you can only give what you are given.
Right.
And Colin Kaepernick may not ever.
Who's in front of you.
Exactly. Colin Kaepernick may not ever play a game again, but I guarantee you, the same way we looked at Muhammad Ali during Vietnam, in 30 or 40 years, we're going to come back and we're going to look at Colin Kaepernick the exact same way we looked at Muhammad Ali. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
All right. Man, it is that time of the show. I don't know how this is going to go out. I don't know how this is going to be played. But ladies and gentlemen, the Houston Astros have been taking a major hit this past week. I just want to stand up for the Houston Astros fan. I want to say I'm still proud of the Houston Astros. I want to say that at the end of the day, just because the way it looks, the way the media has played this out to be, they're mad at the fact that we built a better sandcastle than everybody else. And if we're all building sandcastles, if we're all trying to make our team the best we can, using any means necessary, then to be singled out because we're better than them, I'll take that. I'll take the hit. I'll take the bullet. But I'm not going to capitulate and fall down as a Houston Astros fan and feel bad about being a Houston Astros fan. Listen, they try to take our 2017 World Series championship away. They want to take our wins away. They want to make us out to be the bad guy. No, sir. We want it as fair and square as the circle we were put in, right? The whole notion of us cheating is a giant circle jerk, if you want to get my honest opinion. Now, you have those saying that the Houston Astros use video camera or stealing signs, use a trash can to make different noises so we knew what the pitch was coming. Stealing signs is a part of the game.
Not electronically,
It's not
John.
even a part where it's illegal, right?
Electronically, it is, John.
So you make a good point. So the whole notion of us getting our advantages through video camera, right? That's not even the first time that's happened, right? We literally caught a Yankee employee sat in the back of the center field, laying down, caught red-handed, filming us, right? But they don't want to mention that. The Boston Red Sox had a intricate system of using Apple Watches to steal signs. Technology, right? Okay.
They got in trouble.
Right. Who won the 2018 World Series?
The Boston Red Sox.
Right. Okay.
But they also, both the Yankees and Red Sox got fined.
The Yankees. Oh, I'm not saying that we're not going to get fined. No, that's not at all what I'm saying, right? The Yankees had a system of telephones and using their television camera, talking about the Yes Network in 2017, to the point where they've been using this, and this is quoting Rob Manfred, I believe that's his, if you say his name right. They quoted, I'm quoting him, and he said, during the previous championship year, they use this technology. They use this system of whatever it is to steal signs. And they haven't won it in 10 years. So how long do you think this has been going on? Right? All right, single out the Astros. Fine, whatever. But we were talking about earlier about how peculiar timing can be. So Mike Friars, whatever, I don't even know how to say his name.
Mike Fiers.
Fiers? Okay. Learn to spell it right. Anyways.
But he's one of 4 baseball players that have come out.
Okay.
3 behind closed doors and 1 open to media.
Right. Okay. Listen, be my guest. But he accepted that championship ring, right?
He did. He also accepted the money that came with it.
Exactly.
The bonus. I hear you.
So 2 years later, he's talking about, I don't want people to lose their jobs. They want, what? These players have a resume longer than I ever have in being in a professional setting. They have a resume as big as from the time they're little leaguers to high school, middle school, whatever, college, or even through the MLB draft, to have that chance, opportunity. And for Mike Fiers to say that the Astros were taking his chance away, please. And I don't even care about whistleblowers here. Like I said about Colin Kaepernick, I said, you'll never play again. He'll never play again. Up until this point, I've been right. Mike Fiers, if you get out of your contract, you'll never have another contract in the MLB again. And the reason is not because of you don't have the talent, not because you'll get necessarily blackballed, but they know that you'll squeal the moment that shit hits the fan. Or I don't know what happened for you to come out this 2 years later. I understand if it happened and you refused to play in the moment, but you came out 2 years later. Like I said, I don't know what made you to that point, but it's peculiar. It's strange to me, right? But if everybody's doing this, we're all playing on the same level playing field. I'm not absolving necessarily the Houston Astros, but don't sit here. Don't tell me that we're the only ones doing this. Don't sit here and don't tell me that our championship is ruined because of this. Don't sit here and don't tell me when other teams are getting caught, fined, probably draft picks will be taken away. When you have the examples of even the New England Patriots spying on other teams and them, how many championships does Tom Brady have? 6. But nobody's calling them a cheater. Well, nobody's calling Bill Belichick a cheater. No, they're calling him the greatest of all time. They call Tom Brady the GOAT.
John,
I'm just putting it out there.
It was inexclusive if they did that or not.
Are you talking about the Patriots?
Yeah, it was never actually.
Oh,
proven guilty. Like
you are so wrong on that.
Okay.
Bill Belichick got fined $500,000.
For what?
The team got fined for Spygate for $250,000.
I thought you were talking about the Flakegate. So
I don't care about the Flakegate. I'm talking about actual examples of cheating going on by not just one team, not just two teams, at least 3 teams.
But John, let me ask you a question, because we got to be fair here as far as the people that are watching and listening to the podcast. What the Astros are being accused of is a very advanced and very smart way, smarter than what you're saying, the competition and this whole circle of cheating. They are being accused of something that was pretty extensive and honestly gave
Chris,
the
what is the
Astros
extensivity of what you're talking about? Explain to me exactly what they're getting accused of.
They're getting accused of using real-time footage
Okay.
in the back,
Okay.
figuring out a way to be able to have. Now, what people projected was there was actually cameras that they were using on the real-time feed, but now what we're finding out that there was actually a hidden camera that they were using to actually watch the catcher's signs. They were able to yes, you got to. I'm just telling you what I'm reading. Able to transmit that because here's the thing: the reason why it wasn't
camera.
Yes, the reason why. So I want everyone to understand the live feed.
In center field.
The live feed. The live feed camera is always watched by MLB to make sure that no one's watching the true live feed that's going on as they're playing. They monitor that. That's a fact.
Right.
The Astros were using something different. They were using a hidden camera that nobody else knew about except them. And it was being transmitted in the back of the dugout.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's being transmitted in the back of the dugout. And sometimes I want people to understand that what they're being accused of didn't happen the whole game. What happened is that they would spend it wasn't until like maybe the 6th or 7th inning that they were able to figure out their signs. And then they were able to, in real time, be able to bang on trash cans. Once they figure out the off-speed pitches, whether it was 2 bangs for a changeup or 1 bang for a strike. The thing is that when you break down 2017 and you go through all these home games, there is so much proof of banging trash cans that immediately are the exact call of the catcher that gave the Houston Astros an advantage. You got to understand that the Houston Astros prior to the 2007 season they were like almost dead 15th. Last 15th as far as strikeouts and hits, etc. So
and then jump to first.
Right off the bat. So I get what you're saying, John. Again, I get what you're saying that the Houston Astros are doing what all the other teams were doing, but what makes it the worst is that it wasn't just a few people in the organization. In order for them to have this cheating going everybody was involved. That means from ownership, coaching to my favorite player, Jose Altuve, they were all involved. They all knew. Bregman, they all fucking knew, and they were doing it. And they were doing it in a way. Now we're finding out that it came to the point where they couldn't actually hear the banging on the trash can, right? Because it got so loud during the playoff games that they actually had in the catcher a hidden earphone to tell the catcher.
No, they were using. They're using the bullpen.
The bullpen to actually tell them what's going on.
The pitcher would be either having hands up.
First of all, let me put it to you like this. First of all speculation, right?
No, there's a lot of proof, John.
Okay.
Whether you want to believe it or not.
What the instances that you're giving me when the guy strikes out?
No, we got
about the banging on the yeah, we can go through that. We can
every
literally
game,
go through the.
They actually just came out and said that I will have to look it up, and I don't have it in my head because I didn't think we were gonna even talk about this. They actually have it where they're able to break down the sound. And that banging stood out so much because it was like no other sound that's in the actual breakdown of sound. So it is there. Not just that, but now we're getting leaked fucking emails that are coming out, which is clearly telling scouts
from the upper management
of what we need to do as far as cheating.
Those first of all, those emails that they're using as what you're talking about are sending scouts to the game. Right, they're sending scouts to the game to see what they can find and see different tactics, different videos or whatever that they can use for future reference and what they can find throughout the game. They're not talking about actual stealing the video cam. Like you said, they had a camera in the center field during having a live feed. That's not a live feed.
They actually said in there, if whatever we need to use, including cameras, to figure out what they're. You can't use cameras. It clearly states in the rules.
What do you think is on the iPad?
John, the iPad, you're able to look at footage from the past.
Right.
It clearly states in MLB rules you are not allowed to use
I'm just talking about
electronics.
the actual the email that you're talking about. I'm referring to the email that you're talking about.
John, you can try to word however you want those emails, but
I'm not the one that brought them up.
I know, but I'm saying is your interpretation. I don't know. You're trying to fit it to your argument. The point is those emails, which are one of many, that goes all the way down from the top to the bottom, because they've only given one of those emails, is proof that there was a big scheme of the Astros cheating across the board.
It does not matter to me. It does not matter, because at the end of the day, even if you give me all those examples, you could probably go to 20, 30 other teams and you're going to find something like that. And you know, the whole banging thing of the video by John Boy that's out and popular and everything. Listen, the guy strikes out, right? They lose the game. Then they're talking about whistling. And then I saw another video talking about how George Springer kept looking with his eyes. Really? There's so much misinformation that I don't even know what to believe, to be honest with you. But I, in my heart of hearts, cannot sit here and be like, you know what? We're going to take this bullet because we're the only ones getting caught. This is, you know what? In my opinion, the MLB has had this problem of disenfranchising their own public because they don't have these rules down and they don't nip it in the bud. Like, for example, when the steroids era came up, they refused to believe that. They refused. They're like, we don't have a steroid problem. Let me just test some guys and prove to you that we don't have a steroid problem. Oh, lo and behold, they have a steroid problem. Okay. You know how many fans lost faith in the MLB brand? Why do you think they're behind NFL when they were number one? Why do you think they're behind the NBA when they're number one? They have an archaic way of dealing with things that, in my opinion, the NFL has jumped technology-wise by tenfold over MLB. Joe Girardi has been talking about this sign stealing thing. We need to have a system where the pitcher and the catcher can communicate through a speaker system, of a headphone set system, where they don't have to worry about signs, because everybody is doing it. Everyone. And
you have proof that everyone's doing, because right now
I don't, but I never played in the pro level.
How many teams?
But I'm getting
John,
this
how many
from
teams,
pro players.
But John, how many teams are in the MLB?
I want to say 32.
Okay, so 32 teams are all doing this.
I think that they're all doing something.
John, as much as you want to believe that, the proof right now is saying that there are certain teams that are doing it. Do I think that there's more teams doing it than none? Possibly so. But that doesn't change the fact that the Astros were not only doing it, but it looks like the Astros were doing it better than anybody else. And they've had the biggest gains out of everybody else, whether you want to hear it or not.
I agree.
Okay, so what is your argument? That because you feel that a lot of the teams are cheating, that it's okay to cheat? And then not only no, because that's what it sounds like you're saying.
I think that we're getting singled out. That's what I don't like.
No, that's
my argument.
That's
when we're all doing it, we're all, essentially cheating through video camera, through iWatches or Apple Watches, through TV camera systems or whatever, through the telephone. I don't care what it is. When they're all doing it, when the best teams are doing it, and we just figure out the way to do it the best, and you single out us because you're mad because we're doing it better than you? Nah, I'm not going to take that bullet.
You may not take the bullet, but guess what? We're about to take the bullet.
I know. We will be the example. No.
It's not just the example,
but
because
it's dumb to me to think that we can't figure out a different system that where this allowed sign stealing, that it's okay with everybody to sit there, and we can't figure out a better way, a better method to figure this out.
You're confusing the audience, and I don't think that's right. And I'm going to tell you why you're confusing the audience. Stealing signs that's never been a rule. You can steal signs if it's aesthetically, like if you're on second base. That is allowed. That's always been allowed. What is not allowed is electronically stealing signs, John. You need to be honest about that.
I get that. But do
you get that? Because you haven't said that. You haven't made a point to say that at all.
What? Stealing signs is what? What was my point that I'm not making?
You keep saying that it's...
Because that's the whole point of why cameras aren't allowed. And in this email, like you said, that it didn't say, it clearly says what we are looking for is how much we can see, how we would log things. If we need cameras, binoculars, so go to the game, see what you can find. This was sent out to multiple scouts from upper management of the Astros, and a lot of those scouts disagreed to do it because they thought that was unethical, but some scouts didn't, and those are the ones that actually helped us out.
And most of those scouts that didn't refuse to do it didn't have jobs after that.
Can I just say something?
Excuse me. You just proved my point.
I don't know what point I proved.
The fact that they can't have another job, that they can't get another job because they refuse to do what the organization or whoever you said, wanted to do something unethical, means that, guess what? Every other team is doing it.
That doesn't prove the point at all, John.
If you think it proves your point? See that, then I can't really. No. I can't. I think if you think I'm confusing you or confusing the audience, because I don't think that stealing a sign, whether it's on second base or whether it's electronically or something like that, I don't believe that is something that baseball has learned to fix or even cares to fix up until this point. The reason that MLB is even looking at it right now is because it's become a national issue. The only reason, because when Boston did it, it wasn't a national issue. When the Yankees did it, it wasn't a national issue. Now it is. And guess what? We are going to take the brunt of the whole,
No, see, that's where you fail to realize is that the Athletic also said that Astros were the best at doing it, but this is also an investigation that the MLB is going to do, because based off the only thing I agree with you in this whole point is that Astros are one of many teams that are doing this. What made the Astros situation worse and why the MLB is not just looking at the Astros, they're going to be going through everybody, because guess what?
Oh, no, they won't. No, they won't.
Yeah, they will.
You know why?
Are you even keeping up with this?
Because I am.
It seems like to me the only thing that you care about is proving the fact that if the Astros cheated, who cares? Because everyone's cheating. That's a stupid, ignorant argument.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we're getting singled out.
No, we're not getting singled out. Why you think we're getting singled out is because we're about to get the hammer. The reasons why we're about to get the hammer is because it wasn't just a few people, scouts or managers doing it. It was the whole fucking Astro team, including the bat boy at this point. Everybody knew what they were doing, and they were doing it and making us believe that they were doing it just off of pure talent. No, pure talent is one thing. No one will ever deny the Astros have one of the most talented teams from top to bottom. But when you have the most talented team that is able to cheat their way to get that extra hit, to lead to points being scored against other teams, regardless if they're doing it or not, that makes us cheaters, John. It makes us fucking cheaters. Whether you like it or not, they're cheaters because it clearly states in the rules that you are allowed to steal signs as long as there's no electronics being used, no hidden cameras. I don't know why you don't see that's being wrong, because at this whole point, your whole argument has never been anything about, hey guys, guess what? The Astros fucked up. This is wrong. This is bad. It's always been, I don't care if they did it, because guess what? Everyone's doing it. That's a bullshit ass argument, and that's the reasons why arguments like that, for just the gist of what you're saying the MLB has picked and choose when to make this right or wrong. That's because that sentiment of what you said. Well, if everyone's cheating, who cares? That's just a stupid argument, and not only that,
it's not that. It's just Chris. It's reality. It's fact. It's based on examples. They pick and choose when they want to listen to and understand that this is cheating.
So let me ask you something. So is this what's going to happen? With our kids, like if they get a 0 in class, and they decide to go ahead and cheat on the test, and they get caught stealing on the test, is that what your argument going to be when you have to face a principal? Hey, I know my son cheated, but guess what? Everybody in the class is cheating, because it doesn't make it right. And at this point, it doesn't fucking matter, because guess what? Cheating is cheating. Lying is lying. It's the facts, John.
It's okay. When people's jobs are on the line, when you have a coach that's trying to get a name for himself, when you have GMs trying to get the next best team out there through analytics, through whatever, everybody's trying to get one up on the competition. Everyone.
That's one thing, but
I know that. But listen,
do it the right way,
that
John.
happens, but that doesn't exist, Chris.
It does exist. So our team's doing it the right way. And for you to sit here and generalize that all 32 teams are cheating, that's ridiculous. Because I can tell you right now, the Baltimore Orioles ain't cheating.
What? How do you know?
That's obvious. Their record, their success rate, it's easy to know who's
they're just
cheating.
not good at it.
Oh, okay.
Listen, it doesn't take a lot to cheat.
I think you live in a false reality.
No,
to be honest with you,
John,
I think that you have and it is a very good vision of the ways teams should play. And I commend you for thinking that that's the way it happens. But unfortunately, we do not exist, and that is not reality of what MLB is. And they have proven it time and time again that they do not care up until it becomes a major news story.
So, John, you basically tell me I live in a reality in the world where there's not good people that doing the right thing?
You're exaggerating. You're going from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Am I really? No. You don't like the fact that I'm calling you out on some bullshit right now. I don't know you don't care, because obviously you don't care, because you think cheating is right as everyone's doing it.
Time out. You're getting to where it's like,
I told you. Listen, John. I told you. You better make sure when you come at me with these Astros, you better bring your A game. And right now you're bringing your D+ game. So maybe you need to cheat. Maybe you need, in order to beat me right now, maybe you need to go ahead and bring out whatever cheat sheet you got, because that's the only way you're gonna beat me in this argument.
Can I finally say something?
You get to this thing where
I guess I can't say anything.
You're getting to the point where you think it's a competition between us. I could care less.
It wasn't a competition.
Bring your A game and you got your D game. I don't give a shit, Chris. Really, I don't. And at the end of the day, it's just what I've seen happen between players in the MLB and what hasn't happened. And what has happened is cheating is prevalent, whether it's one player or a whole team. And one team being better at the same thing as far as cheating, I'm sorry, Chris. I'm not going to just sit there and just lay down when everybody else is doing it. I mean, you want to live in this world where nobody cheats on a test.
I want to live in a world where
that
there's good people.
Exist, Chris.
There's good people and moral people.
I'm not saying
living in
that
a fake world. It's a fake world. Go ahead, Khoa. Talk your piece, man.
Listen, I'm sorry, Khoa, but
you're good.
That's, to me,
I'm in a fake
live in
world.
a false reality.
A false reality, guys. Go ahead, Khoa.
You know what? I think you're probably not gonna like when I say it, but I think you're both right about a lot of things. And I'll tell you the one thing, when I heard about all of this, my heart was broken. I was very disappointed as a fan, as an Astros fan, and bigger than that, just as a fan of the integrity of the sport, of any sport, right? And every sport has its issues, with any like betting, gambling scandals and, cheating and just the disparity in it. But to think that we needed that to win, when, I still believe that the Astros are one of the best teams, and the things that we've been able to do and the team that we've been able to put together. But with everything that's coming out, like we can't deny that that's what's happening. They even pinpointed to who started it with Alex Cora and Carlos Beltran, who are both managers of different teams now. And what's going to happen to them? Who knows? What's going to happen to the Mets? What's going to happen to the Red Sox? I have no idea. But the depth that it goes to, right? And I'm not saying that we're the only team. I think that there should be an investigation throughout the entire MLB. But unfortunately, who's going to get the hammer? It's going to be the Astros.
100%.
And I'm deeply saddened and disappointed to think that, we would go to such great lengths, if it's so frowned upon, to win, even because I don't think we really needed it. And, you just see all the things that are coming out, and to see people bad-mouthing Houston and see people bad-mouthing the Astros. And, bad-mouthing the organization is one thing. I believe that they are in the wrong in this case, personally. So whatever happens as far as, punishments against organizations, fines, suspensions. To me right now, I'm ready to take that. But I am very much against anybody talking shit against just the city itself and anything beyond the Astros organization. The fans have nothing to do with this. And I think that for the most part, Houston fans being Houston fans, we usually will stand up for what's right. And the ones I know, at least for the most part, are disgusted by this too. And it's like, hey, I don't think we should have to vacate a championship or anything like that. I hope it doesn't go as far as that. It's where they have to take away any rings. But what happens if it does? I mean, will this be the new Black Sox? Will this be, Patriots are still a dynasty after all that, so can the Astros, and to me, whatever happens after this, if we come back, let's say the players in this example, the players are still all good and we get to play. Let's say maybe AJ Hinch isn't there, but the players get to play. And next year, they take drastic measures to make sure that this cheating scandal, whatever, banging of trash cans, all this stuff doesn't happen, right? What happens if now we are in last place? What happens if we go out and we play such a shitty year after going to 2 World Series in 3 years? Doesn't that just prove everybody's point that we couldn't have done it? And now we are the most hated team in all of sports?
Listen, the hardest thing to do in any sport is hit a baseball. We can all agree with that, right? Even if you knew what was coming, I'm not saying that's not a disadvantage or an advantage. Even if you knew it was coming, it's still hard to do, right? So I don't think from one year to the next we will have that miraculous drop off. Like that's what they proved to happen from 16 to 17. But Khoa, we are a better team across the board.
Well, I don't disagree with that, but go from 15th to 1st. And then if you look at the graph of how little strikeouts we had compared to every single other team, it was like a linear progression. And then ours was just drastically lower.
But if you look at the Boston Red Sox, look at what they had from one year to the next. You can pick and choose. And I'll tell you like this. Baseball is my favorite sport. Baseball has always been my favorite sport. Baseball is something that's near and dear to my heart. Chris knows this. Khoa knows this. But I knew that my favorite player at that time was Jose Canseco. Nobody believed him. And maybe because I was a fan of his, I believed him. And he was taking a brunt of all the criticism, from being called a rat to being called a liar to being called all these names. To this day, he's still blackballed from the game of sport, the MLB. And I've seen this game play out. But it didn't negate the fact that there was people cheating, i.e. through steroid use or whatever, and it was rampant. And it didn't negate the fact that the MLB took a hit, took a loss, where, when we had the great eras of Sammy Sosa versus Mark McGwire and Barry Bonds, the luster was gone from that. And the luster has yet to fully regain its brightness. And it's a black mark on the sport. In this instance, in this case, I do agree with Khoa, and I agree with Chris, because it is disappointing to see your team that you hold so dear and near to your heart, who you cheered completely wholehearted in the World Series, in the playoffs, at every at-bat, to see that they are the ones in this black mark that is this cheating scandal. But the hammer will be handed down to the Astros. I think it's going to be something similar to what the Patriots did. If they do more than that, it is the new Black Sox scandal for this era of baseball, and another black mark on the game of baseball. And another bunch of fans are going to leave this sport again.
Well,
I don't see how that doesn't happen, to be quite honest. With everything that's coming out right now,
that's sad.
I don't see how, and I heard a quote someone said earlier, that it's definitely going to be an over punishment versus an under punishment.
I agree. And unfortunately, you think there's going to be more teams. I don't think there's going to be more teams. There may be like a fine or something from another team, but not that we're going to lose draft picks.
And to me, that's the problem with it, because it's not that I don't think that we shouldn't get punished, but it should be across the board. And that's the whole point of me saying I'm disappointed in the integrity of the game, because while we're the ones who are getting the hammer for this because we happen to be the ones who did it the best, who had the best result, everyone plays to do what? Win the World Series, win the title, right? And we did. And the very year that they're investigating is that same year that we won. So what would have happened, let's say, if we didn't win? We lost maybe the second round in the playoffs, and this same thing came out. Would people care as much? I don't know. But the fact is, and you can't change the past, we won. We have that on the title. Now, is there going to be an asterisk mark next to it? Is it going to be vacated? So to me, that's the problem with it, because the integrity of the game as a whole, and I don't know if that's, I'm at this point, I feel like they are trying to save face and protect that, say that at least. But yeah, it can't be just against us. And that's where I feel like, okay, something's up if it's just the Astros that are getting the hammer, because every team across the board should be investigated. And yeah, fuck, man.
I just ask you guys if you guys could bear with me. I had to literally write down my thoughts, and I'll try to do the best I can not to sound redundant. And most importantly, I write down my thoughts just because of how passionate I am about how I feel. And John had been asking us how we felt about this, and I refused to give my opinion or give my feelings on it until we know, what the final verdict's going to be or what the proof is going to be. Innocent to proven guilty. Obviously, unfortunately, from all walks and from all angles, we were cheating in a way that was better and gave us the upper hand in many of those situations. So what I want to do is first and foremost tell you, John, that it's not about a competition between me and you, but it is a competition about morals and ethics and life in general. And you might think that I have a false reality, but I really want to bring you into my false reality like you've never been in before. I'm going to ask you guys a question. What does baseball cards mean to you guys?
Childhood.
Yeah.
Childhood, memories. Right? Memories. For me, baseball cards was my temporary relief from what was going on in my personal life. Now, I know, Khoa, you kind of talked to me today earlier, which kind of like made me go, ugh. You said, let's not always be so personal. But I feel like for me, the Astros are personal, and I can't do anything. I cannot be me without being personal. Mm-hmm. So, for me, baseball cards was a temporary relief from my own personal childhood. When I think about companies like Fleer, Bowman, Donruss, Upper Deck with a little hologram stamp, Tops with the unedible gum, it brings me to a comfort zone looking through my baseball card collection that allowed me to escape a violent world. Hiding in my closet with a flashlight, using my imagination. But it was more than just fantasizing about playing baseball. It was hoping that one day those men could be my dad. See, I didn't have a good childhood growing up, and I deferred the details. I think at this point, I don't need to go in details. Just know that baseball was my first sport that I fell in love with. I remember spending the whole day outside trying to teach myself how to toss and catch a baseball. I had no one to teach me, but it goes deeper than just that. Why I truly brought up baseball cards was because one of my favorite companies to collect was Sports Flicks. All right, they were developed by OptiGraphics in Arlington, Texas. Right, these cards used the state-of-the-art printing process called lenticular printing. They were referred to as triple action magic motion cards. Basically, each card changes its picture in 3 times: 1 headshot, 2 action shots of 1 sequence, giving the effect of a player either hitting or pitching. Sports Flicks were like my first card that I ever collected. I started collecting baseball cards in 1986. I was about 5 years old. Okay? I want you to hear me out. The first play I remember getting was Glenn Davis. While a member of the Houston Astros, Glenn Davis, in the 1980s, he finished 3 times in the top 10 National League MVP balloting, 86, 88, 89. And I still believe he ranks all-time, I think 5th all-time career as far as home runs. He, along with Nolan Ryan, Orbit the mascot, and of course, our wonderful rainbow uniforms transcended my love for the game. The Astros and players felt like they were nothing like the other teams. I started collecting cards when I was 5 in 1986. By the time 87, 88 came around, I fully comprehended that the Houston Astros were my city's team. Okay? This was my team. And I became obsessed with Glenn Davis. He was my favorite Astro player at the time. When I found out that Glenn Davis was going to be at the baseball shop signing cards, I begged my mom to take me. My first autograph was Glenn Davis. I remember meeting him and telling him that I want to be just like him. He told me to practice every day, eat my vegetables, and always do the right thing and be a good kid. Real talk. Those words resonated to me like he was my dad giving me advice. I remember in 1990, which was considered a bold move, the Baltimore Orioles actually acquired first baseman Glenn Davis from the Houston Astros for pitchers Pete Harnisch, Curt Schilling, and outfielder Steve Finley. Good old Steve Finley. And of course, I was devastated. See, John, the Astros have always represented to me as a team of good men and hard workers, a team different from everyone. My favorite Astro players to collect when I was young was Casey Quintel, Craig Biggio, Alex Trevino, King Cabinetti, Rafael Ramirez, Kevin Bass, Glenn Davis, Mike Scott, Nolan Ryan, Dave Smith. I have all those cards today. And it's true about the Astros. If it is true that the Astros cheating, I could care less about blaming the MLB for allowing this to happen. This falls on everyone in the dugout, to the owners and management, to every player on our roster. In order for something like this to be executed, that means everyone was involved. I love this city. It's my home. And I remember the devastation that Harvey caused. Watching it on TV, people's lives were ruined. We as a city came together and rallied behind the Houston Astros. The Astros, the players became to everyone what they were to me when I was 5 years old. Positive reassurance that no matter what happens, everything's going to be okay. That we will get through this. It's almost felt that the Astros in 2017 were battling for all the discomfort and pain the city was enduring. But in the reality, it seems like they were cheating, lying to themselves, each other, the city, and most importantly, the 5-year-old in me. You're right, John. I'm ignorant for still believing that the Astros and the players the same way I did when I was 5. Hiding in the closet with the flashlight, looking at my cards so proudly, especially when looking at my Houston Astros cards. To think that there are kids right now that could be doing the same and are now heartbroken that their favorite team and players are just liars and cheaters. If what being is reported is true, then there's no coming back from this. I'm heartbroken to know that I can't cheer for my beloved Astros, the Astro organization that I never thought about the impact cheating would have on this city and the fans. They never considered this while they were doing it. Now, from this point on, if true, everywhere that they will go and play, they will also be reminded that they are cheaters and frauds, which we fans will have to endure and defend as well. And I refuse to defend cheaters, because every day I've lived in my life knowing it's what you do when no one's looking that defines you as a man, checked or unchecked. So for me, I didn't want to talk about it, because I knew that this was deeper than just a team caught cheating. because everything that's been good, that's helped me through my childhood has been Astros. They were my first love. Baseball was my first love, but Astros became the foundation. And now, everything that I believe in as a 5-year-old kid has been ruined. My favorite player is Jose Altuve. I can't even say right now he's the greatest Astro of all time, because guess what? As far as I know, none of those other Astros were caught cheating. And it breaks my heart, because from this point on, I don't know if I can wear another Astros hat. I don't know if I can ever look at this team again. But what hurts me the most is all those guys, from upper management all the way down to the person that cleans the jock straps, knew this was going on. And none of them considered how it would make us as fans and this city look for the rest of our lives. And for that, that is unexcusable. And that's how I feel about that.
Very good, Chris. Very pointed, very to the point. I think a lot of people share your sentiment. Very personal from you. And I commend you for speaking your truth, which we always do, what we try to do on this podcast from day one. I don't think there's anything else left to be said. I think that if you're an Astro, if you're an MLB player, you need to look at yourself in the mirror. You need to take accountability, because people just like Chris, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, are looking at you. And hopefully, baseball, Astros, and anybody that cheats in this game, you realize you might just lose fans. It's already happened once. And I'd hate to see this game go any further than it has into the depths of losing these fans.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Sports Trapp Podcast. My name is John Trapp. That is Christopher Seaboard Rodriguez. Khoa. Time for the pick sixes.
I guess it's the only thing that's going to be able to get us through this. Hey, before we get into pick six, John, I just want you to know, man, that like the reasons why you're my best friend is because you've been riding with me since all the way from high school. And you've been the closest thing I've ever had to like a real brother. A real brother. So, like, no matter when we agree to disagree, the one thing I know for sure is I know that you'll never lie to me and that you always got my back. And it's hard when you're a kid growing up not having the right people in your life teaching you the right way not to admire sports figures. Somebody asked me the other day why I'm so obsessed about sports. The reasons for it is because it gave me a way to escape reality. And what hurts the most is when your reality that you have and you're living in this false reality is that you hate when reality hits that just like your family, the people you look up to as far as athletes may be just as bad or even worse. And that's why it's important as men, especially for our families, that we set the example and no matter what, always do the right thing. With that being said, I beat you last week, Khoa, in pick six.
I love you too, bro.
I'll give you this one W.
Yeah. All right. So, again, this is Sport Trap Podcast. Best damn podcast in all of Houston. All of the U.S., to be honest with you. But it's time for the pick sixes. Khoa, last week, you took the L. 3-3.
Yeah.
Chris, 4-6. Myself, 4-6. Man, I'm not gonna lie. The worst pick that you had was picking the Jaguars over the Colts.
That's true. I think a big part of it was just not wanting to pick 6 for 6 what Chris picked.
Oh, is that what that was?
And I told you this earlier. You wouldn't believe me. You probably still don't believe me, but everything in my gut was telling me not to pick Texans.
I think we all both felt that way.
You both went first and picked Texans, the homer in me got so excited
He did.
that we're finally on the same page. I was like, yo, let's get it on this Texans train energy, and let's put some good juju out there. And so I picked Texans too, and of course that didn't pan out. But
all right,
that's
so
neither here nor there. Nah.
we have another week, another chance for you to show your
Khoa, so you can redeem yourself.
redeeming qualities.
Hey there.
Hey, quality, redeeming qualities.
Quality
Pun
control.
intended. Pun intended.
All right. So, first game in hand. We got Carolina going at New Orleans in the Superdome. Christopher C. Rodriguez. What is the line? They're looking at 9.5?
8.5.
8.5? All right.
9.5.
Quiz. Who you got?
For New Orleans.
Hey, man, this simple as this, man. Who that?
Who that nation?
Going with New Orleans Saints. I mean, they just the better team. I mean, they don't have the better running back, but they got the better overall team.
I know, right? No. Yeah, I got who that nation once again. I think they just had a little stumble in the road versus Atlanta. They came out and showed out last week. My man, Drew Brees, threw for four touchdowns and showing like he's the Drew Brees of old. More than I can say of Tom Brady, but we'll get there. Khoa, who you got, sir?
Saints. Easy.
I'll be trying to pick what I pick.
Yeah, you know.
All right, they're all 1 for 1. Okay, here we go.
Let's not get burned again.
Chris's favorite team, Seattle Seahawks versus Philadelphia Eagles. In Philly, Seattle traveling across the country.
Eagles favored by 2.
Eagles favored by 2. That's weird. I didn't see that coming. But
Damn Vegas, they don't know what they're talking about.
Sunday afternoon. So essentially, Seattle would be essentially playing at 10 o'clock in the morning. Maybe that's to do with them being favored or the underdog. Who you got, Chris? Surprise, surprise.
The last time I checked, Russell Wilson was still the best quarterback in the game, right? Well, at least in the NFC. I mean, we haven't even seen the connection between Russell Wilson and Josh Gordon, so I think we see a lot of that in this game. And, I think Seattle easily beats the Philadelphia Eagles, unfortunately. The Battle of the Birds.
All I'll say is this. Vegas usually pretty good about these
Vegas.
lines, right?
Oh, they're usually great about it.
All right. Here's my, strategy for Philly. Every time I think they should lose, they win. Every time they win, they lose. So I think that Philly's going to lose, so they're obviously going to win. I got Philly.
I got Hawks. Yeah. Russell's still the best right now, so.
It's so hard for me to choose against them just because of the fact that they just beat the 49ers in overtime.
Best defense in the NFL.
You know, so
You'll take that loss. I know.
Philly.
I know you're going to take that loss.
Baltimore travels to L.A., another one of those cross-country. Travels to L.A. and plays the Rams. What's the line?
Baltimore's favored by 3.
Woo.
I don't even know how
Coming fresh off a Texans win. Baltimore, 3.5 favorite over the Rams. Who you got, Chris?
Well, the Rams could barely beat the crappy-ass Bears. They've barely beaten anybody this year. And that's sad because of their defense is a good defense. But that defense, they haven't played anybody like Baltimore. Baltimore, I think, wins beyond 3.5 points.
Hey, man, if Goff throws for 40 times in this game, it's going to be a bad day for him.
Yeah, Goff
bad day.
Look, Gurley can't get off. Obviously, something's wrong with him. No, without a doubt, this is an easy win for Baltimore.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that. Same thing. You got I got after that one win and Seattle not playing this past week. I got Lamar Jackson as the MVP. So another MVP performance. Woo! Just off of the week, not just. I mean, right now he's a front runner just because he's got the news headlines. But Russell Wilson right there. But I got the Baltimore Ravens. Who you got, Crop?
Ravens. I don't see Rams.
This fool's looking at my.
Hey man,
list.
you need to start looking at mine.
Dang, man, y'all looking kind of similar. All right, at least I'll pick Philly.
Man, where's this hidden camera?
It's going to be an ongoing.
Where's this hidden camera?
Maybe
It's right there, dude.
Maybe.
I'm banging on the trash cans.
We'll get a little difference in these picks next
Can you
game.
imagine how
next
many
game.
fans will bring trash cans to Astros
They're
games
gonna bring
now?
them to every game, man.
Oh my God, I didn't even think of that. Wow,
We're gonna be berated. Dude. It's gonna
Real
be
fast,
bad.
I think it's interesting that asterisk kind of goes with Astros and trash cans kind of goes with
Did you
trash
see John?
It's been
Dude,
bad.
I've been
Those shirts are
getting
ridiculous,
last-
Did you see John Boy's shirt that
Yeah.
he's trying to sell? The Houston Trastros,
Wow.
and the logo is a trash can. With
So
the,
easy.
You know what bothers me about him?
So easy.
Damn,
how you know
I
we're
can't
upset.
believe we're getting into this because I didn't. Anyways, John Boy, at the end of this video, he's like, yeah, other teams are cheating too. And he just cuts off. Like, he just glazed over it. It bothered the hell out of him. But anyways, I digress. Let's get back to this pick sixes. Baltimore at New England. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. How can I mess this up? America's team, Dallas Cowboys, travels to New England in it's an afternoon game. Sunday afternoon game.
Yeah.
Who you got, Chris? Tom Brady versus Dak Prescott.
Man, I don't know if anybody watched that game between the
Oh, my bad. I was doing the Dak Prescott.
the Patriots and the Eagles, but man, there's a lot of trouble going on in New England. They needed an Edelman throw in order to like even get over the hump.
What did we say? Tom Brady ain't the same.
It ain't the same, and that defense was also getting run down too. What I say, them linebackers. Those linebackers are not as fast as they've been able to. Man, I think, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think the Cowboys are gonna win.
Woo! What? To travel to New England.
They need this win. They need this win more than anybody right now. They need this win. They had a great win last week, but they need this win. They need to show that on primetime TV against the best of the best that they can actually win. I think that somebody who's not getting any love or support or respect, I think he has the most TDs right now, or he's in the top 3 for TDs being thrown, is Dak Prescott. I think a lot of people haven't even mentioned him as MVP. And to all those Cowboy fans out there that have hit me up, I mentioned Dak Prescott should be at least in the conversation of MVP, I guess. Anyways, quotation marks with my fingers. But I think Ezekiel Elliott is going to be a lot to handle. And man, I don't know, man. I got the Cowboys upsetting the Patriots. They just look so beatable right now.
Oh man, I agree with you. The Cowboys' offense is coming together a little bit.
Defense is
I think
garbage.
that Randall Cobb has a little bit to do with that because he's opening up the field. His slot receiving routes have been better, so Dak Prescott is getting his hips into the throwing.
Show me one more time, John.
Ooh. Yeah. You know, don't calm down, people. Calm
Sexy.
down. Anyways, so yeah.
He almost juked the audience.
That being said,
Juked himself.
I don't believe in Dak Prescott.
Damn.
I don't believe in
Damn.
Jason Garrett.
Damn.
And as far as Ezekiel is concerned, show me a 100-yard running game, then we can talk. And I don't believe in their defense. Not to say that New England's offense is that much more powerful, but when it's down to the nitty-gritty, New England by a field goal.
Ooh.
I got the Pats.
Dun, dun, dun. It seems like it should be a primetime game, though. That's why I was like kind of confused at the beginning. Well, they are late afternoon, which only 2 games are played late afternoon this Sunday. So
Which both could be primetime games.
Listen, I'm sorry. The fact that the Packers and San Francisco 49ers are the late night game over the Cowboys. And I mean, if there's ever been a battle of America's favorite team, isn't it a battle between these two teams?
That's a great point. Like, good job, Chris. Good job, Chris.
Fuck them both.
Finally said something.
America's game.
Anyways,
Delirious fans games.
So now we're getting to the good games. No offense, Cowboy fans.
All offense, Cowboy fans.
Hey. So Green Bay travels to San Francisco. Battle of the top NFC teams going on right here. San Francisco lost in the overtime to Seattle. Some crucial drops, crucial interceptions. And then they came back and they had a sluggish game. I told them, I said that the San Francisco-Arizona game was going to be a trap game. I actually predicted them to lose.
They almost.
But they showed their resilience.
I guess.
They showed that they're a good team.
I guess.
They showed that Jimmy G. Whew. All right.
Girafalo.
Calm down. All right.
Please.
So, the line is San Francisco favored by 3. Yes, sir. What's up? Ooh. I got San Francisco. I think Jimmy G's going to have a better game than Aaron Rodgers.
Wow.
I said it.
We're going to put you in with the Cowboy fans. It's delirious.
Our wide receiver core is gonna pull this one out.
Who is your wide receiving core? Can you name besides you?
Ross Dwelly, that's who.
See?
Thank you, Kettle.
Qual just looked that up.
I'm gonna, we can keep going.
Kettle.
Pettis, you want to go? Keep going. Did you see the number 1 catch all year? All year.
That was probably the most
Luckiest shit. I don't give a shit. You caught it.
Wow.
Who you got, Chris? Stop.
Listen, man. Listen, I've already predicted this. When it comes down to Garoppolo having to throw the ball going against elite quarterbacks, he's always going to lose because he's not elite. He's a D-plus quarterback at that. Matter of fact, the fact that you're putting your hopes and dreams in Garoppolo, to me, just only tells me that who is living that false reality? It sure the hell ain't me. Because I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to come down to one thing and one thing only. Aaron Rodgers is the better player on both those teams. He is going to lead the Green Bay Packers to a win, and they're not just gonna they're gonna beat the San Francisco 49ers by at least 2 touchdowns. Suck it up, John.
Ooh. Whoa, what?
2 touchdowns.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
Suck it up,
sorry,
John.
I thought you said 2 touchdowns.
Isn't that what the 49ers say? Suck it up. They're going to lose.
All right. So now, Khoa, I know you of all people have a good sense of reality. So let me hear your prediction here.
Oh,
who you got?
No. You might not like what I'm about to say.
Why you gotta be me? I'm not the only one in this room.
Oh, man. I'm going with Packers with this one, man.
Oh, my God. You broke my heart.
Hey,
I thought we were friends.
I don't think that the Niners aren't real, but Aaron Rodgers, I think the experience is going to come out. And, oh, man, I don't think 2 touchdowns. I'll say that. But, no, I think Packers pull it off.
Man,
I think it's going to be a great game.
Y'all act like the Packers have a better record. They're 8-2, man.
Well,
Whatever, man.
I'm sorry.
8-2. Sounds like the Texans.
Anyways, so I don't think y'all know. I might win this week again.
You're not.
I saw that coming last week, but all right. So
Just like you saw Cleveland losing.
Thursday night football. The battle of division rivals. Indianapolis versus Houston.
They just the battle for first place?
Battle for first place. I think whoever wins this game wins the division.
Probably so. Probably right, John.
Who you got, Khoa? I'll let you go first.
You already know.
You already know.
I should have picked against them last week, but I'm not going to do that this week. Texans, baby. We're playing at home. It's going to be a bounce-back game. Oh, man, Deshaun needs it, of all people, but we all do. I think the whole city needs it. I think after everything that's been going on, I think this week has been a crazy week in sports.
Tough week.
If we do not pull this off, this is going to be such a morale blow to the city. So hopefully they can bounce back, man. So I'm looking for that bounce back. I'm going Houston, baby.
Damn, I wanted to tailgate this week too, but I work on Thursday nights. Sir, so Houston favored by 3.5 points. Who do you have?
If they're favored by 3.5 points, that means that game might possibly be based off a field goal and Fairbairn.
Ooh,
what the
that's
hell
a
you
good
say?
point.
What is his name?
Kaimi Fairbairn.
Dang, I might
Fairbairn.
just change my
Fairbairn
pick.
is
That's a
hot
great
garbage.
point.
Hot garbage shit. Matter of fact, I think I can go out there and kick it. Matter of fact, Texans, come sign me. I know I can kick a field goal.
To his credit, he's a bad extra point field goal kicker.
Well,
as a field goal kicker, he's actually pretty good.
I wouldn't trust his ass if my life depended on it. At this point right now, unfortunately, the Colts always seem to all the games that I've ever seen the Colts play the Texans on primetime TV, they always come with an extra oomph. They always come, seems like better prepared, more disciplined, and want it more and are hungry. I think the Colts, especially with Brissett coming back, I think that this is a game where the Colts come out and upset, because I think it is an upset. I think they come out and upset the Texans, unfortunately. The Texans were off for a whole week, and they couldn't properly prepare for the 2 weeks, sorry. Couldn't properly prepare for the Baltimore Ravens. I can't see how, 4 or 5 days is going to have them have a game plan to beat the Colts. I think the Colts are going to come out.
Damn, he did miss a field goal last game.
Yeah, man, he sucks.
Sorry.
Anyway, I think the Colts come out and actually beat the Texans by a field goal.
I think for me, that's all the more reason for me to bet on the Texans, because they just don't make any fucking sense. They got a week off, and we can't beat Baltimore.
Listen, they can't.
But give us 4 days, and they might pull off the best game we've had all season. Who the fuck knows, So
they got
the Colts are a very good team. They always play us very tough. But the one thing that they got into our ass last game was Marlon Mack. Dun dun dun.
He's hurt. He's hurt.
Right.
He's hurt. But
so he does not play this week. And you're talking about field goal kickers. While we're at it, we're talking about field goal kickers. Vinatieri's been having some troubles here and there. You're talking about winning by a field goal. I think you guys lose by a field. Well, not you guys, but the Colts lose by a field goal because Vinatieri misses his usually sure field goal chance.
Every time
and the Texans win this one.
Every time Vinatieri has a moment where you think he's checked out and he doesn't have it anymore, he misses big field goals. He always comes back and hits the biggest field goal. That's Vinatieri's this whole thing. But I think the biggest equalizer everyone's forgetting about is Darius Leonard. He's playing, and the last time I checked, the Houston Texans can't protect.
We got a Pro Bowl left tackle, man. Tunsil.
They can't protect Shaun Watson for his life depending on it. And right now his life does depend on it because he took a very bad ankle sprain that no one's really talked about in that last game. I think Darius Leonard is going to be an equalizer. I think if what I saw this last game against Baltimore, I know for a fact that the Colts defensive line is way better than our offensive line. So I think it's going to be a lot of issues for Deshaun Watson, unfortunately. It's going to be let me tell you something, guys. If you're expecting a high-scoring game, this is going to be a piece of shit game. It's going to be low-scoring. It's going to be something like fucking...
Something stupid, like 9-8.
15-17, like some stupid shit like that. So
I think Deshaun Watson can possibly have like a 350-yard game with no touchdowns.
No touchdowns.
I just hope he keeps his helmet on. Please.
All right. So, looking like I'm going to win another week.
You know what? I'm betting there's at least one fan with a trash can in the audience.
You think so?
Man. I feel like the whole world is out against the Astros right now, and I would not be surprised if it happens. I'm betting at least one.
After an emotional personal spill of mine, I do want to say on College Game Break this past weekend, there was a sign in the background when they do their whole college breakdown that said, "I had a better sign, but the Astros stole it." That shit was fucking hilarious on national TV.
Wow, that was good.
Yo, I laughed, but then I put my head down.
All right, fellas. This has been our Pick 6 of the week. Sports Chat Podcast. Always giving you the real. All right, man. This is getting to the conclusion of the show, but I have a question for you, Chris. Your boy.
I know he's going to go there.
Your boy.
Why you want to make me so sad? I'm already sad and depressed as it is. Go ahead, John.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Had a blowout. Not by score, I mean.
Not by the score, you're right.
Tua, I can't say his last name all the way.
Tua Tagovailoa.
That guy. Great player. Was supposed to be the number one pick to the point that he got a phrase after him. Tank for Tua. Miami was going to go after him. Cincinnati apparently was going to go after him. You can name, Washington. They just picked the Haskins as their future quarterback. they probably would go after him. But lo and behold, the game of football is not fair. The football gods came down on Tua, and so did the linebacker for what school was this that they played? Mississippi State.
Yeah.
To the point where Tua came down, did not get back up, broken hip. He broke the hip, the same thing that happened to Bo Jackson. Actually, that's yes and no.
Yes and no, you're right.
Bo Jackson had hip displacement, but he was so strong that it popped back into place. Tua's did not pop back into place.
He also didn't
Bo
report
Jackson
it either.
did have hip displacement. He did not break his hip. Tua broke his hip. From what I understand,
When you fracture
the femur sits like I think that's the femur, right? So that's the strongest bone in your body, right? The ball that connects to the pelvis, that's still all intact. The socket, if you can see it, that holds the ball into place, has the back completely blew out. And that's why he couldn't put any weight on it, because the literally the bones are still sitting like this.
Yeah.
This is an injury. If people say it's like Bo Jackson, it's worse than Bo Jackson. Here's the caveat, though. They almost immediately popped it back in, which is great. And the thing with Bo Jackson is, unfortunately, that when he broke it, or when he popped his hip out of place, he severed arteries. He severed vessels, blood vessels that what you need in order for your bones and your muscles to heal correctly is proper blood flow. That's the one thing that Tua got immediately, whereas Bo Jackson never got.
And he never reported. He just kept playing, which is crazy.
Played on it, on a muscle or a hip that was atrophying.
My favorite running back of all time.
He's a freak of nature.
Completely freak. But luckily, technology, in this case, is to good use.
Medical advancements. Yeah.
Medical advancements and whatnot. Luckily, he's hopefully that he comes back to 100%. This is the one part that scares me the most about what I heard a doctor say about his case. At this point, right now, it's not about him getting back on the field. It's about his quality of life. That's the hardest thing for you to hear, for somebody that was going to be a number one pick. And maybe the hardest thing for an Alabama to hear. For somebody that had still to this, I mean, I don't know if you still have it, but up until then, had national championship aspirations.
Well, I mean, the crazy thing about this is that, I mean, we can all automatically assume that it would take an unbelievable miracle, like me dunking for the Alabama Crimson Tide to actually get into the playoffs. It's just not going to happen.
You better get on those. I've
been trying to work on my vertical leap my whole life. I got massive calves that I can't jump for it in my life. But I think the sad thing about it is that even if Tua recovers, he's pretty much like lost all stock power as far as the draft goes. So then the question goes is, if he's probably not going to get drafted to a lower rounds because it means less money, does that mean that he comes back to Alabama to compete for one more season to hopefully, bring his stock back up? The problem with that is that so far Tua every year has not been able to play a complete season because he's already been labeled injury prone. The crazy thing about this is that Tua is the greatest quarterback to ever throw the ball in Alabama. He's broken Joe Namath numbers. No one's come close to his ability to throw the ball as accurate as he has. And it's a big risk because it not just changes his life, but, the fact that his life from a financial standpoint has been affected. And I've heard a lot of criticism gone against Nick Saban about why didn't he take him out. Tua was already hurt. At this point, before halftime, it was already 35-7. They clearly had a lead. And a lot of people are like, why didn't he just pull Tua? And to Saban's defense, Saban says that he never plays thinking about injuries. and that he was thinking about taking Tua out, but Tua seemed great, and that Tua wanted to stay in there one more play, and he wanted to work on the 2-minute game and whatnot. Mac Jones was already throwing the ball, so he's ready to come in. I think 99% of the times, even at blowouts, most starting quarterbacks come back in the third quarter that are fully healthy. This is a different situation. Tua was not fully healthy. If he went out there and got you 35-7, take him out. Period. Yeah. And I get it. The thing, like somebody said, no matter what, Nick Saban's still gonna make $7 million this year. Tua is not gonna make any money. And not only that, but now because of this injury, now he may not ever make the money he could have made. And that right there is a tragedy, because this is somebody who's very into God, his family, his teammates, and he's just a good person, and you hate to see that. And I can tell during halftime and then later, Nick Saban was shaken up. I've never seen Nick Saban that way.
I didn't like what he said in halftime.
I know, but you could tell he was his the way he acts. I'm just saying he could tell that he was trying to save face. At the same time, you could tell like he knew he fucked up. That's what it felt like to me. He knew he fucked up.
Yeah, wasn't it you that told me that? He was it one play? That was the one play he was away from pulling him.
Yeah, he was gonna pull him, but then at the last minute,
he wanted him to work on the 2 minutes.
No, the last minute. No. What I'm saying is, it's been on record that the last minute he was gonna take him out, and then all of a sudden, Tua was like, "I want to stay in one more time." And here's the thing: in the NFL or in like regular sports, professional sports, I can get why players like, say for instance, Kevin Durant's like, "I'm gonna go out there," but in college football, the coaches have the final say so, and coach should have did what was best interest of Tua and not play him, and especially with him already being injured, him already having surgery 3 weeks ago on an ankle. Man, sit him down, man. There was no point in playing him. You're gonna win the game. It's Mississippi State. Shout out Dak Prescott.
You know the way I feel about college sports in general. You know that I was saying that he shouldn't have even been playing in the LSU game.
No, he shouldn't have been.
And in this instance, the first thing I texted you, and I was ready too. I'm not gonna lie, I was ready. I was pissed off, and I know that you weren't even watching the game, not because I
devoted my day to my wife.
Right. You had a recording or whatever, and I didn't know at the time. But you're like, what? I was ready to go in, but this is the example to me. The reason that college athletics needs to pay their players, and it's not everybody across the board. I don't know how you instill it necessarily, but this kid was about to make tens and millions of dollars, and that injury is such a freak injury that nobody could have planned for it. Nobody saw it coming. Again, the only thing we even come close to comparing this is something that happened 30, 40 years ago in Bo Jackson, and you saw what happened to him and the rest of his career. These GMs, these owners, everybody is going to be so scared to take a chance on this kid. And he's not even going to play next year. He'll probably be out for another 2 more years. He probably, if he does get drafted in the later rounds, which isn't anything guaranteed. I think past the second rounds, nothing's guaranteed. And then, again, he just loses so much money, and the value of his stock goes so far down that he'll never recover and past until he actually plays and goes past his rookie contract. If that.
You know what's so sad is that from a football standpoint, the only reasons why he gets tackled by the Mississippi State defensive line is because he couldn't outrun them. Tua's very fast. The reasons why he couldn't outrun them because he was still hurt. His ankle was still fucked up. And the way they tackled him, no one would ever think that would hurt him to that level, because it's a regular tackle. But that's just it. He couldn't run. He couldn't get away. Shouldn't have been out there to begin with. And but I will say this. One thing I've learned in life is anything's possible. Miracles do happen. And I hope that he has a speedy recovery. And I hope that he comes back and this is a good redemption story, because I'm hoping for Kevin Durant's redemption story. If there's anybody who deserves a good redemption story, it's Tua and his family. And maybe, just maybe, he gets drafted next year. He doesn't go in the first round, doesn't go in the second round, but gets picked up by the Patriots. And then
Bill Belichick strikes again.
Hey, listen, man. If Jimmy G can do it, I got faith in Tua.
Yeah.
Who? I can't believe you're comparing that.
So
I gotta get one in.
So apparently the procedure went as planned. He's resting comfortably. His prognosis is excellent, quote unquote, from his doctor. He got surgery this past, I believe it was Sunday, in Houston. Shout out to Texas Medical Center. So
the best.
From the Sports Trap, prayers go out to him and his family for a speedy recovery. Hopefully he'll be back better than ever. I think it'll be a great story, but I mean, nobody likes to see injuries happen. I do agree with you. There's got to be something to change about college sports and how it goes. And I think that was the big difference when you compare someone like Kevin Durant and someone like Tua. When KD puts in his word and say, like, hey, I want to still be out there. And it's like, well, you can say as a fan and as a coach and as an organization, it's like, okay, well, you're being paid to do what you do. So if you are making that call, okay. But in college, that's not how it works. Yeah. He's not a signed athlete that is getting paid a salary. So what happens now that, when these things do happen? Unfortunately, they do. It's a contact sport. So
players go out, man.
I'm gonna say this on record because I might as well go ahead and say this on record. I think Nick Saban's career. This is gonna be a career-defining decision. I think the loss of Tua is actually going to make other 5-star, 4-star recruits look differently at going to play for Alabama because they're going to question.
Say it, man,
they're going to question
my son going.
Yeah, they're going to question, does Nick Saban care more about the players that he says he claims about or care more about winning and trying to break, the all-time winning championship record? And to me, Nick Saban allowing Tua to play tells me that he cared more about style points and making himself look good in front of the committee to get into the playoffs as opposed to just keeping Tua on the bench and whatever plays out, protecting your best player just in case you get into the playoffs. And that tells me that Saban knows that he's at the end of his coaching and he's desperate. That just felt like a desperate move. That's just me saying that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think that sooner than later, this might be the end of a dynasty. And just so you know, the moment this dynasty ends with Nick Saban, don't think for 1 second that you'll never hear about Alabama Crimson Tide. Because I want everyone to be reminded by this one coach out there that's just foaming at the mouth to eventually coach the team he played for, and that's Bo Sweeney. And don't think for 1 second that he wouldn't leave Clemson to come coach at Alabama. And if there's anybody that's been able to prove that he can go out there and recruit just as good as Saban, if not better, than Bo Sweeney, just so you know, just when you think Alabama's out, the Crimson Tide will roll again. That's all I got to say about that.
Woo! All right, ladies and gentlemen. Anything else? Y'all we covered it all. Woo! What an intense show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Shout out to Sunday service.
Oh, yeah. Man, you know what? For all this stuff about
Shout
Houston,
out to Joel
this week
Osteen.
has been huge for Houston. Whether it's good or bad. I mean, everything seems to go on in Houston.
Jesus
Medical
is king.
Center, shout out. Kanye,
And I'm
Joel
Buddhist.
Osteen, shout out. However you feel about Houston. Houston's in the center of the attention for the week. So, shout out Houston, man. We represent no matter what. Yeah, man. So, guys, follow us on Instagram, Facebook. We got a Facebook. Yeah,
Something like that, man.
Instagram, Twitter.
Facebook's for old people.
YouTube. Thank you for
Follow
your
us on
likes
MySpace.
MySpace.
Hey, most importantly, listen, everything we talk about, we want your support, and we also want to know your comments and concerns, questions, or even complaints. That feedback helps us get better, smarter, stronger, faster, stronger. Kanye West. Anyways, it just gets us to the next level, which we're all aiming to. So please, when you listen, whether you listen to Spotify or Apple, iTunes, or even watching us on YouTube, we need your comments. We want to know how you feel, how we made you feel. Whether you agree with John, disagree with me, or think Khoa is the sexiest motherfucker alive, we want to hear about it. So please make sure you're putting up the comments, and of course, follow, subscribe, do all those things, and most importantly, keep supporting the Sports Trapp Podcast.
We out.
Peace.
Yeah.